From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Cavaliers again may be without one of their starters for Game 1 of their second-round NBA playoff series. Center defensive anchor Jared Allen questionable against Boston with a rib injury. Mavericks at the Thunder Game 1 tonight, 9 Eastern, ESPN Radio. Nuggets guard Jamal Murray might be facing punishment from the NBA for his actions during the Game 2 loss to Minnesota. Murray on the bench second quarter threw a heating pad onto the floor during live game action. Only one option for the league here, according to ESPN NBA analyst Tim Legler.
Players' safety was endangered. It was a reckless and careless act, and it showed no restraint on your emotions in the moment. You almost have to set a precedent if you're the league going forward. You can't be throwing stuff onto the court if you're sitting on the bench. I mean, period. It can't be. How else are they going to penalize me?
Denver down 2-0 at Minnesota Game 3 Friday. NHL Draft Lottery tonight, 6:30 Eastern, ESPN. Sharks best odds at the number 1 overall pick, followed by a second-round Stanley Cup playoff doubleheader. Rangers Hurricanes in Game 2, then the Avalanche Stars series opener.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sir. And Mr. Toby Tumpley. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Shea, Dixon coming up in 15 minutes. Pete Jenkins 1 hour from right now. Ryan Clark in hour 3. We'll talk to Anthony Ranaudo. Lock loaded, a ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Well, it is never too early to talk a little college football. And our friends over at DraftKings did us a great service. Now with the spring transfer portal window closed and the next round and wave of players jumping ship and roster alignment and realignment having happened, DraftKings updated their point spreads for major college football games for 2024. Now, I want to be very clear. I know not everybody loves to sports bet. That's okay. This isn't a sports betting segment, okay? I know a lot of you do. I do. But this isn't a sports betting segment. What this hopes to serve is the idea of what Vegas is thinking about certain teams at this point on the calendar. And the reason that's relevant, obviously, is Las Vegas doesn't have a bias. Las Vegas didn't go to Old State U. Las Vegas doesn't care about your rival. They don't hate your team. Las Vegas cares about one thing. Paul, can you go to the wide shot, please? Las Vegas cares about the color of this entire studio right now, which is green. All they care about is money. Okay? That's it. So they're objectively setting line. So I will always put more credence in what Las Vegas says than some type of like analyst or fanalist or prognosticator or college football expert or anything else. Let me remind you, Desmond Howard a couple of years ago picked Texas A&M. Who else was in that playoff that he picked? Pitt? Wasn't Pitt in there?
I was about to say, I believe it was Pittsburgh. Yep.
Pitt, Texas A&M. Yeah, that guy won the Heisman. He sits on game day every day. Desmond's great. I'm not crushing him. It's just we get it wrong a lot. Vegas, I want to run through what I think are some of the most surprising lines. First, though, they did list, DraftKings listed 7 LSU football spreads. And LSU was favored in all but one of them. The only one that they were an underdog, surprisingly enough, at Texas A&M. Tigers are a 3-point underdog in College Station. Part of the reason that's so surprising, A&M, of course, fired Jimbo Fisher. You have Elko coming in, but they lost 31 players to the portal, A&M did. And these aren't just like pedestrian guys. Like, Texas A&M lost dudes. Walter Nolan might be the Outland winner this year on the defensive line. Fadil Diggs, they lost. I mean, you're talking about Bryce Foster, who was their starting center. Evan Stewart, who's a great wide receiver, who's headed to Oregon. Jacoby Matthews, who's a 5-star safety. Of course, starting safety Jordan Gilbert's now in Baton Rouge. Point being, they lost a ton, yet still Vegas pretty high on Texas A&M. If you're wondering about the other LSU spreads, 6-point favorite against Southern Cal out in Vegas. Interesting game late September when LSU is at home against Ole Miss. Tigers a 2.5-point favorite against the Rebs, who should be undefeated and eyeing a playoff run this season. LSU an 8-point favorite at Arkansas, a 1-point home favorite against Alabama, 5.5-point favorite at Florida in the Swamp. And then the regular season finale at home against Oklahoma, LSU, a 5-point favorite in that game against the Sooners. Of course, all of those will shift and edit as the season goes along and as we learn more about teams as they play. But it is a good sort of indicator of what the odds makers think about LSU today with the roster they have, the coaching staff they have, against the schedule they play, with the season getting closer and closer and closer. We'll see how much the roster might continue to evolve between now and the start of the season. It's a pretty good indicator that Vegas is pretty high on LSU. Notice you didn't see any of the other non-conference games. You didn't see the UCLA game on there as well. But that's a pretty good indicator of how LSU might be looking starting off here in the there was no Vanderbilt game on there as well as they head toward the 2024 season. I did run through this, and I wanted to jump into some other surprising point spreads nationally that I saw from DraftKings. Muse, can you give me a little college football music, please, as we get into this here? As I do, I am a fan. I'm a big fan of the Big Ten on CBS theme song. So thank you for choosing that one, Muse. It's a great song. What? Don't be staring at me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Is that not the Big Ten on CBS theme song?
It is.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Really, it's the CBS college football theme.
Really?
They use it for a lot of different games.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I see you've conceded there, Muse.
Well, you called it the Big Ten on CBS theme. They have other games that go on CBS, so,
Do I need to pull up the tape where you yelled at me? It's the SEC on CBS, blah, 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 blah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, remember, digital era. Everything is recorded.
Everything.
All right, I got 5 games. The point spread stood out to me. Here's the first one. Whenever you're ready, Muse.
Make it 5.
Number 5, how about Texas A&M? I went chronologically, by the way. August 31st, A&M a 2-point favorite over Notre Dame. Notre Dame is a consensus preseason top 10 team, and many think a college football playoff lock. A&M lost 31 players to the portal. It is pretty clear, at least early here, that the odds makers, they like them some Mike Elko. Hit it, Muse. Yeah, there we go. How about a couple of teams that were in the playoff a year ago? Texas of the SEC going to Ann Arbor to take on the defending champs. Sharon Moore. Should be beautiful weather up there in Ann Arbor on September the 7th. How about this? Texas, a 3-point favorite at Michigan. It may sound surprising that Texas would be favored in the Big House. However, Michigan, of course, had 13 players drafted. The 7th least returning production, meaning only 6 teams in all of college football return fewer starters or fewer production this year than the defending champ Michigan Wolverines.
Free.
Oh, that was the, how do you get to the center of a Tootsie...
Tootsie Pop, yeah.
Tootsie Roll, Tootsie Pop, yeah. Number 3 on my list is a game that is going to involve... What do I have? Oh, sorry, I went out of order. My bad. See, that's what I get for trying to scroll this thing as well. How about the Vols heading down to Norman for the first time? And Tennessee is a 5-point road dog to Oklahoma. Nico there from Tennessee, new quarterback, a projected Heisman candidate by many. Oklahoma, their win total in Vegas over under 7.5. So the odds makers aren't thinking much of Oklahoma. Apparently, they think even less of Tennessee.
Number 2.
Do you know the last time Alabama was an underdog at Bryant-Dennehy Stadium?
Oh, man. Shot in the dark here against Georgia in 2008.
That was in Athens.
Oh. What was the one that... 2007, Georgia. Well, no, because they would have been against LSU, too. Oh, wait.
Show ends at 6, Muse.
I can't... It wasn't last year against Texas. No, I don't know then. Those are my 3 guesses.
The last time Bama was a home underdog, November 3rd, 2007, when LSU beat them 41-34. That's the last time Alabama was an underdog inside of Bryant-Dennehy Stadium. Georgia heads to Bryant-Dennehy Stadium this year as a 4.5-point favorite. How about that? Could be some big-time history in T-Town if the Bulldogs show up and maintain their favorite status for that game.
One.
And the last one, I got to scroll all the way to the bottom because it's the last weekend. It's a game that we're going to see, a rivalry renewed that we haven't seen since 2011. Texas and Texas A&M. Game in College Station, but this is one, although the odds makers like the Aggies an awful lot. Texas, a 4-point road favorite in College Station against Texas A&M. The last meeting in 2011 when Texas won 27-25 to kick the Aggies out of the Big 12. There you have it. Muse, any I missed that you thought stood out?
So I agreed with you on on Tennessee and Oklahoma. It's going to be Oklahoma's first conference game, too. Mm-hmm. Both teams with new quarterbacks. That is interesting. And then one that kind of jumped to me, it might be a little bit off the beaten path, but Kansas State, a 6-point road favorite at Colorado. Kansas State's got a new quarterback.
Yeah.
They got new receivers.
Yeah.
They got a new secondary that's going to have to face Shadur Sanders on the road. And they're a touchdown favorite? Okay. All right.
Ain't nobody believing in Coach Prime.
Man.
All I know is last year I told you I'll bet the farm on Colorado over 3.5. Cashed that ticket early, and then they didn't win again.
No, they didn't. No. But you cashed the ticket, and that's all that matters. You said over 3, or what was it, 3.5?
3.5.
Yeah. They got to 4.
All right, it's After Further Review. Show open, brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light. Hey, want to remind you, of course, the Dive Bar Tour with our friends over at Bud Light. Going down this week, it'll be the 9th. That's on 2 days, Thursday. The Dive Bar Tour in Prairieville at Coop's, Cottage Inn, and Fred's on the River. Catch some live music, some great Bud Light, some great deals as well. The Dive Bar Tour is going down this Thursday, courtesy of our friends at Mockler Beverage and Bud Light. Drink easy with the official beer of the LSU Tigers, Bud Light. All right, Shea Dixon joins us next here on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Glow Resources. If you are stuck in the hiring rat race, I'm talking to business owners, and it doesn't matter if you're looking for skilled blue-collar workers or their white-collar division as well. If you're having trouble either finding employees or finding employees that show up, Glow Resources can help. You know, you think of it this way. No matter how many people you hire in a year, you conduct dozens of interviews, maybe even hundreds of interviews. Glow Resources conducts about 50 interviews per day, which means more than 15,000 interviews they do in a year. They are experts at identifying the key factors that are going to lead to successful employees for your business. Stop guessing. Save yourself time, money, and productivity. Call Glow Resources or log on. GLO. It's glowresources.com. Serving the entire United States. glowresources.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, good enough to join us as he does each Tuesday. How are you, dude?
I'm good. How are you? You got me?
Gotcha, loud and clear, man. So the portal window is closed. What's the staff doing this week?
Well, they're on the road. They've been on the road now for a couple of weeks, recruiting, whether that's high school. They've stopped in on some portal guys at different points, obviously, before they come to campus and visit or whatever it might be. But the main focus right now is high school recruiting, and that's seeing committed guys, seeing uncommitted guys who are in this 2025 class, part of the class that's ranked number 1 by On3 still. They've been jockeying with Ohio State, kind of back and forth as the 1 and 2 overall teams in the country with the recruiting class for the 2025 cycle, and then also doing work for the future. Well, I mean, like to give examples, they were over at East Ascension, where Bryson Martinez is a top 5 offensive tackle, but he'll be going into his junior year, and then obviously in New Orleans, there's a number of big-time players. I know they were back in Baton Rouge this week. Gosh, Matt, help me. There's some school. God, they've won state titles. The Bears. I don't know, but they've got a safety. That's the one.
I got it. It's all right, Shea. You can do it too. Whenever you're comfortable, the water's warm. Wade on in whenever you want, man.
I didn't go there, and Dixon McMakin doesn't have me hands tied behind my back right now, forcing me to say it. So I'm good now. I'll carry on. But look, Blaine Bradford is the number one safety in the country right now for next year, going into his junior year, and Jakeem Stewart, number one overall player for next year as a D lineman coming out of St. Aug's, so spending time in New Orleans, and obviously here on campus at LSU at U High, Lamar Brown is the number one interior offensive lineman. All three of those guys that are number one at their position are ranked right now in the top 10 nationally, regardless of position. So doing work on this number one class, but also setting that map for what should be a really banner year next year, in large part because of Louisiana.
I want to go back to the portal conversation just for a second, because they're focusing right now on the high school ranks. Is the staff still pursuing any potential transfer portal targets?
Yes, and they've poured through everybody that's hit the portal at defensive tackle, and it wasn't as fruitful, I think, as some people may have anticipated it being, and that's beyond defensive tackle. That's any position. And it breaks down, look, I won't spend 30 minutes talking about how they got here, but just in terms of overall D tackles, Charles Power, our national director of ranking and scouting, and Cody Belair, who works with him, and Cody's worked in a number of offices in personnel across the country in recruiting, including LSU. And they say, look, D tackle's like it turns out the least amount of elite guys in high school. So when you're battling for it in the portal, it becomes at even more of a premium, and then not a lot of guys entered. And they hosted a few guys, but they all ended up elsewhere. And now we kind of turn the page to who's next. And C.J. West out of Kent State is a big name. They've maintained contact with him. The hurdle there is he doesn't graduate from Kent State until August, and he would have to move over as a grad transfer, so he'd have to stay in school all the way through then, and then you're banking on him graduating. But certainly with open scholarships and the need for D tackles, they can play that waiting game, so they'll stay in touch with him. And then there are a few others that they've kind of turned up the heat a little bit on, at least started to dig in more with, have coaches have conversations with them, and that includes guys like Aiden Huntington up at ULM, who had entered the portal and isn't from Louisiana originally, but spent a year at ULM, and actually was at Kent State before that. Kent State's kind of becoming a theme of the portal right now with guys who used to be there, but he had a really big year. He was first team All-Sun Belt. Little undersized, but still had really good production. But I think at the end of the day, Matt, even with numbers in need, what you're balancing is, I should say, available numbers to use on scholarships and then the need for defensive tackles. The balance is they don't want to take anyone who is just a body, right? I mean, and I guess in those terms means, like, are you going to make an impact this year or not, because they're in this position, because they felt like, whether it was because of recruiting or attrition, that they were left with a number of inexperienced guys who you would say are kind of just bodies, maybe are part of a rotation but wouldn't start. You don't need to stack up on more of those. You need to stack up on your 4-man rotation or whatever it might be, 5-man. So I'll be curious to see. I do think, look, I will say this with certainty. Their goal is to get at least a defensive tackle in beyond Gio Paez from Wisconsin, who's already, on board and committed, if not 2 more. So yes, that is the focal point, even though they kind of went after the 2 biggest guys in Barrow and Williams and came up snake eyes with both of them.
Are there other positions potentially they're looking at?
Corner. But here's the thing there, and look, Corey Raymond has been around a decade. I mean, he was the longest tenured member of that staff before Brian Kelly arrived, and now he's back. So most listeners are familiar with him, and certainly his pedigree, what he wants. And I think that there just haven't been that many guys who have entered the portal. Wake Forest had 1 guy go in last week, and that was the first one that Corey had made contact with and really went out and dove into, looked into setting up a visit with. And but he had visited Alabama first. They have a big need at corner and missed on a couple of guys. So that might end up going a different direction. And look, they may not come away with the corner. that's a room where I really would say even more so than DT, Matt, is they're not going to take anyone just to take them. Like, because you could develop Ashton Stamps and Obiano if you keep him at corner, and PJ Woodland, and, you know, all these different guys who are on rosters. Alexander comes back healthy, and obviously the Ohio State transfers. Like, you've got guys, so unless they're better than them and they're coming in and starting, they're not looking for rotational pieces there, in my opinion.
Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Get him on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Staff went and saw Bryce Underwood?
They did. So you can only see during the spring evaluation period, which is what we're in right now, off-campus prospects one time, for a coach. So, and you can send 2 coaches. So they sent Joe Sloan and Frank Wilson up to Michigan and are spending the whole day today at Belleville with Bryce Underwood, who's obviously in school right now. And so they spend time at the school visiting with the coaches and the principal and everybody else. And then they'll spend some time with Bryce after that. And it's kind of, for me, it's not like it's just checking it off the list right now. It almost feels that way, as crazy as it sounds, because he is the number 1 overall prospect in the country. I mean, most people firmly believe that you'd put him right up there with Bryce Young, if not above, and then you're into the Trevor Lawrences of top quarterbacks that have come out in recent years. He certainly puts his name right into that group. And to not only get a win like that out of Michigan, but for him to then already have visited twice since he committed in January, he's not visited any other school. He's maintained that he is very locked in on LSU, will enroll in December. So everything's sort of going as planned for him there with a guy who, again, I mean, if you just want to base it off rankings, this is as big as a Fournette or someone like that. I know it holds different weight because he was a Louisiana player, but this is about as big as it gets. And they could be in a battle right now where he's at Ohio State every weekend, or Bama or Georgia or wherever, and we haven't seen it. He's been 100% locked in.
Shea, I got a couple more for you. As you look at that 25 class, are there guys committed that you start to hear rumblings might not be so solidly committed at this point that maybe LSU's giving a little extra attention to?
I think the one that everyone jumps to is going to be DeCorian Moore, and really would be the only one that I would circle. Now, DeCorian has said he's locked in, but at the same time, he's visited Ohio State a couple of times. He's dropped by Texas. That was always considered the real big threat, and now he said he's going to take a little bit of time away from recruiting, so no visits to any other schools for the time being. But it wouldn't shock me if he does official visits and all that. We're talking about a kid out of Duncanville who is the number 1 overall receiver in the country. He is a top 5 prospect. He's got incredible track speed and is only a junior right now in high school, finishing up on the track circuit. So it's a guy that no one is going to stop recruiting, and LSU knew that. And I've said it on this show before. I go back to the start. LSU pulled off the shocker here. Like, everyone thought he was going to Texas. His whole family, pre-committing to LSU would be spotted in Texas gear. And they said it was a lock, and it was out of, left field to Texas folks when LSU had quietly gotten in there and landed his teammate Caden Durham and nearly landed Colin Simmons, but then come away with DeCorian Moore. And they've held on until now. He hasn't reopened it or done anything like that, and August will be a year for his commitment. So if there is one we're watching, it's him, but I think that's also, if you're going to sweat over it, you're just a victim of circumstance. That's what happens when you get a kid popped who was not ever expected to go to your school from an out-of-state school when, Texas and others in that area want him very badly because he is head and shoulders the best receiver in this class.
Hey, Shea, last thing for you. The recruiting calendar, I was asked, the schedule. So with the spring portal window closed, what is next in this cycle?
So they'll get through the eval period, and then they will start hosting official visits, which kicks off that last weekend of May is where I've seen a lot of kids say that's going to be their first official visit to places, and LSU will have some guys in that weekend. And then those first 3 weeks of June are camp, which are only a month away now. It's kind of flying right by, but camp is where a lot of those in-state guys and some out-of-state guys earn offers. We've seen it over the years with DJ Chark and so many others that kind of come out of left field where we haven't been talking about them, and suddenly they've been offered and they've committed, and you look up 4 or 5 years later and they're one of the best players on your team. So it's that's always one of my more enjoyable times of the recruiting calendar, is where you get to go out and watch them compete and land offers.
He's Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, on Twitter at Shea Dixon. He's the best. He's good enough to be with us here every Tuesday in hour number 1. Shady, we appreciate you, man. Be well.
Yep, we'll talk next week. Thanks, Matt.
All right, man. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Optimize, GeneratorPeople.com, GeneratorPeople.com. Give my guy Matthew over at Optimize a shout. Let him and his great team help you if you're thinking about a Generac automatic home standby generator. There's just nobody better. And there's some pretty obvious reasons. I mean, look, a Generac home automatic standby generator is a commodity. A lot of people can sell them. So the question is, why do you call Optimize? Well, there's a couple of reasons. They've got an extended limited warranty for 7 years. They've got turnkey installation. They've got the price quote guarantee, meaning whatever the price is that they quote you, that is it. There's no more fees, no more anything, no more surprises. They have financing options that can meet any budget. And maybe the most important thing, of course, is they service the entire 1012 corridor. So from Lake Charles to Slidell and every point in between, they've got 4 physical locations. So they can get to you no matter where you live on the 1012 corridor. But all they do is sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. That is why Optimize is Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. Nobody in this state sells more Generac automatic home standby generators than Optimize because it is the only thing they do. They're not a company with a dozen different things that they do, and one of them is generators. No, their technicians, all they do, sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. Give Optimize a shout. Go to GeneratorPeople.com. Easy, 2 words. GeneratorPeople.com. GeneratorPeople.com. Okay, y'all, it's After Further Review. Appreciate Shea for being with us. We got a busy show today. Pete Jenkins in 30 minutes. Always love when Coach Pete is here. This is about the time of year we have Coach Pete on to promote the offensive defensive lineman camp down at Nichols during the summer months. So that's coming up. We're excited to talk about that with Coach Pete, but I got to get some thoughts on this crop of LSU defensive linemen. Of course, the ones that just went to the draft and who's returning. So we'll talk about that with Coach Pete in about 30 minutes. Ryan Clark's going to be here at the top of hour 3, and I'm pumped about this. It sort of dovetails in with this conversation we just had with Shea. Last Monday when I was flying to New York, I'm sitting on the plane, and I'm actually watching an episode of The Pivot, believe it or not. It's weird serendipity in life. But I'm watching The Pivot, and RC texts me on the plane, and he says, let me not get it wrong. I will read the text for you exactly. RC said, Bryce Underwood, CJ Stroud, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. 4 best quarterbacks I've ever seen at this age. And he had Bryce Underwood at the top. RC coached Bryce Underwood at the 7-on-7 tournament 2 Saturdays ago. So I wanted him to come on the show and give us his impression of working with Bryce Underwood that weekend. So that's coming up in hour number 3 with RC. We're looking forward to it. Okay, let me knock out a quick break, y'all. We'll come back. We'll go around the SEC. Don't you move.
AFR.
Brought to you by Action Industries. Of course, you can check them out online, actionindinc.com, Action Industries Incorporated, actionindinc.com. You know, one thing is an absolute given when it comes to commercial contractors that do work in the petrochemical plants, refineries. There is no way, you don't even have a chance of getting hired without an exemplary safety record. That's number one. Action's safety record beats the industry standard. That's number one. And of course, the reason that they've been in business thriving since 1982, 42 years, servicing the petrochemical and refinery markets here in Louisiana, is because they do exceptional work. I mean, we're talking about Fortune 100 companies, like gigantic companies they've done work for and been commended and lauded for the awesome work they do. You need help for your project? You need our friends over at Action Industries. Check them out online or on LinkedIn. It's Action Industries.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
While you're busy with spring cleaning, we'd like to add to the clutter in your bank account to the tune of $2,000. It's the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust. Register today at 1045ESPN.com. Tomorrow is your deadline to register.
We actually saw them. They came down here and played in our tournament in February, even though we did not play them. I've mentioned this before. I think teams with first-year coaches always have a good energy about what they're doing. Watched a game and a half this afternoon, and they won against Lamar, who's 35-9. So compete hard, playing with good energy, and, we'll have to play well to win. And
Jay Johnson on the Jay Johnson radio show. Of course, you can hear that on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. That was Monday night. Recap the weekend series win against Texas A&M and looked ahead to tonight's game against Northwestern State. Northwestern State's not very good. I know, look, Jay said what he's supposed to. They play with good energy, and they had a nice win against Lamar. This is a team that's 19-28. Their team batting average is .255. Their staff ERA is north of 6. LSU should win this game, should win it handily, and it should be one of those opportunities to go out there and get some guys some work on the bump and just keep this momentum going toward the weekend with the trip to Alabama, which has an RPI of 14. And then, of course, we know you're going to wrap up conference play next weekend at home against Ole Miss, which has a top 30 RPI as well. So, LSU has some real opportunities as we've sort of dissected the next 2 weekends with Alabama and Ole Miss to make their push to locking up a tournament bid before they even head to Hoover. That's something that can happen. It can happen, but it's going to happen on the weekends. But this is an opportunity to get out there and stretch your legs a bit. One of the things that Jay Johnson said, though, and this shouldn't be a surprise, but he spent some time on his coach's show really lauding the job Christian Little did this weekend.
We've made a few adjustments, and, man, they've really taken off, and really, really happy with his performance. And that completely was the difference in us winning the series against the number one team in the country was his performance on Saturday night. And I'm proud of the execution, but I don't know if I've mentioned it on this show. When things weren't going great, he was a guy that was really, really consistent for our team as a person. And it's like, Coach, what can I do to make sure we stay together and be a good example for the younger guys? And people don't see that. I'd like to talk about that. So when a guy is that invested in the team, even though it's not going great for him or the team, I really like to see them have individual success, and his individual success was the reason we won the series this week.
He was awesome. Look, the 3 2/3 he gave you against Texas A&M, allowing just that one run in the ninth inning, and he was just awesome. 6 strikeouts, had just 1 walk. I had a conversation this weekend with a big league scout, and we were talking about Christian Little, and it was an interesting convo because the way that this person expressed it to me was to say, that was a guy, I think everyone knows the story by now, that Christian Little went to Vanderbilt as a 17-year-old. So he entered college baseball very young and was projected to be a first-round pick. And so the career hasn't gone the way he thought because, everybody thought it would be, well, he'll do his 3 years and then he'll be a first-round pick and he'll be fast-tracked to the majors. And it just clearly hasn't gone that way for Christian Little. And what people sometimes forget is even though he's been in college baseball forever, he doesn't even turn 21 until July. Do you realize that? Christian Little's still only 20 years old. So he is still a young person who in many respects has been sort of chasing the ghost of the past dreams. And I know we use this phrase so often, but he's pressing. And ultimately, here in the last month or so, look, he had gone 5 outings. That was his first time in 5 outings, I should say, that he allowed a run. That essentially he just kind of said, forget it. Just like almost just like the pressure came off his shoulders. And he could just grab the ball and go throw and let his natural ability take over and not feel like he's pitching with legacy or draft or any of that stuff on the line. Because quite honestly, you've won a national championship. And without having any leverage anymore, yet you don't really have a draft. Like, he's not going to be a first-round pick, and there's no real possibility of that and no leverage. So it's like, what do you have to lose, man? Just take the ball and go throw. And you've kind of seen that in the last month, and it kind of looks that way, doesn't it? Doesn't it look like he's just throwing as a freer, more confident young guy? And I think that's been a big part of it. So it was an interesting conversation. Be fascinated to watch what Christian Little does the rest of the way, because if he pitches remotely close to what he did this weekend against Texas A&M, you now have a righty in Little and a lefty in Herring in the bullpen to complement one another behind the 2 starters you have at that 1-2 punch. You start to formulate a strategy, an approach that can be successful throughout the postseason. Not saying they will be. I want to be clear about that. But you have the pieces if these guys keep developing. Okay, we're going to go around the SEC. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com, with more than 30 offices across 11 different states. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Hey, get to the website. Remember, they do so many different types of calibrations. If you need precision measurement devices calibrated, if it's electronic, environmental, force calibration, mass calibration, they do everything. You can request a quote online. Go to Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Hit the calibration tab. You'll see it right there. If you have equipment on site that you can't ship or you don't want to leave your facility or it physically can't leave your facility, they will do on-site calibrations, or you can always ship your equipment to them, or they can pick it up for you. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. Michelli.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Kentucky Wildcats.
Rutgers quarterback transfer Gavin Wimsatt has committed to Kentucky. 6'3" quarterback from the state of Kentucky originally, 4-star out of the class of 2021. He was named Rutgers starting quarterback ahead of the 2023 season, voted a team captain, and went on to start all 13 games for Rutgers this year. Kentucky now has 3 quarterbacks on scholarship as Wimsatt joins Georgia transfer Brock Vandegrift and true freshman Cutter Boley. The Wildcats do not return a single quarterback from last year's roster.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas has added a commitment from former North Carolina and South Florida wide receiver Khafre Brown. 6 foot, 195 pounder. He's a former 4-star commit, the number 33 wide receiver in the country for the class of 2019. Played in 39 career games, just under 1,000 career receiving yards. Arkansas has now brought in 7 transfers since the beginning of the spring portal window.
The Auburn Tigers.
4-star linebacker Tyler Lockhart out of Mississippi has become the latest pledge to Auburn's 2025 class. Picked Auburn over Bama, Mississippi State, Georgia, LSU, and Tennessee. The number 145 overall player in the country, the number 18 linebacker in the nation. 6'3", 200-pounder is the second highest-rated player in Auburn's class.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
And one quick basketball note. A day after securing point guard Jamari Thomas from the transfer portal, South Carolina signee Trent Noah has requested and been granted a release from his national letter of intent. He's a 4-star prospect out of the state of Kentucky, the number 105 recruit nationally. He picked South Carolina over Butler, Dayton, Seton Hall, Stanford, but is said to be in the mix now for Kentucky and Tennessee as potential transfer destinations. Okay, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. It is after further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Love telling you about our friends at Sunshine here every single Tuesday. Great to be partnered with them. Great time of year as well. Hey, look, flip the script. Think green. You got a tractor, you've been going yellow and red. Those colors stink. Orange and red, those colors stink. You know what color's awesome? Green. You're going to buy a tractor? Why would you buy anything other than a green tractor from John Deere? Sunequip.com, sunequip.com for Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Okay, y'all, we'll knock out our final break here of hour number 1. Pete Jenkins in 15 minutes. Looking forward to that. Also, I did see what a proposed Marshawn Lattimore trade might look like. We'll get to that in about 30 minutes. Would it even be worth it to move Lattimore at this point? Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
You know, one of the reasons I love telling you about Darren James every day is he really is a servant. It's the way he looks at his leadership position. He loves to give back to others. Darren often tells me, my dream is to put myself out of business, to do such a good job that people don't even need, to find a system where people wouldn't even need his services anymore. So Darren, not surprisingly, uses his social media as a tool to give advice, like free advice to potential clients. He's got one up I just saw. Tips for home buyers. Like if you're looking to buy a home in this market, act fast. The market's moving quickly. So when you see a home that you love, make an offer as soon as possible. It's a great tip, especially as the market starts to heating up as it is right now. Listen, if you're buying or selling, commercial or residential, remember, 73% of people that list their home for sale by owner end up hiring a realtor anyway. So save yourself the time and the money. Hire the best. Call Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner.
She's the only one who really understands what gets me. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I got a text on the show. You always text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400, from Kelly Snyder. It said, I will never be able to hear Pete Jenkins' name again without chanting, Pete, Pete, Pete. I guess I got to explain. So the first game that Pete Jenkins was brought back to help LSU this year was the Missouri game on the road. Of course, LSU won that game, and it was Harold Perkins had a great interception that game. The game was punctuated by a Major Burns pick six, as you all might remember. Well, we're at Don Juan for Whiskey and Wine, and T-Bob goes and watches the whole game there, and I show up at halftime. Stone cold sober, by the way. I don't know that many people actually believe that, but Muse has been there and can validate. Muse, would you please validate this?
Yeah, you drink one whiskey. That's it.
During the game, I drink nothing.
Nothing, and then
I'm water,
the
and
show,
then
yep.
the show starts. I get one whiskey, and that's that. That's a wrap. But I sit down at halftime. The second half starts. Like every time someone makes a tackle, it didn't matter if it was a defensive lineman or not. The whole bar just starts chanting, Pete, Pete, Pete. And then I think it delved into Go PJ, like Go DJ, but Go PJ, that's my PJ.
Yes, it did.
It was a great way to pay homage to Pete Jenkins. But yes, that was a great memory. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Hey, the NFL has mastered the 12-month schedule. We talk about it all the time. It's one of the things that Roger Goodell really deserves credit for, and I know a lot of people don't like to give Roger Goodell credit, and I get that. But there's a reason these owners keep paying him $50 million a year to do this job, because he keeps making them more money. But one of the things he's done exceptionally well are things like the draft, right? Think about all the interest around the draft and turning that into a television show from Saturday morning, Sunday morning into like a Thursday, Friday prime time event, bringing the draft on the road, all the stuff, right? Expanding the regular season to 17 games and expanding the playoffs. It's all made TV contracts go up. It's made everybody more money. And one of the reasons is because the NFL has become a 12-month schedule. You go from the games, which of course Super Bowl end in February, and you sort of dovetail that right into the combine, into free agency, into the draft, into minicamp and OTAs, and mixed in there, they drop the schedule release. And they've turned the schedule release into like a national holiday, I think, where everybody wants to see just we already know the teams that everybody's going to play. It's the schedule release is just the order in which you're going to play them. Well, initially the NFL never announces a schedule release date. They just make it a mystery. So a lot of people had thought the signs pointed to this week, and then it looked like it was going to be next week, or it might be next week. One of the reasons, apparently, for the delay is the NFL is still sifting through how to wedge a couple of games on Christmas Day, which is something they said they would never do. Whenever Christmas was on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, they wouldn't play on a Tuesday or Wednesday because of the rapid turnaround for their players. Well, obviously you have an opportunity to fit two more games on Christmas Day, which means that's two more individual games that you go sell to the networks, you have two more TV shows that you could sell and make even more money. So player safety be damned. Quick turnaround time, who cares? They're going to go play on a Wednesday this year for Christmas. Now, what that means very likely for the teams that play on Christmas Day, they're going to play the Saturday before. So think of it this way. Saturday to Wednesday is really no different than Sunday to Thursday, except that Saturday game will be a short week from your previous week on Sunday. So you will go Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, which means whatever teams play on Christmas are going to have played 3 games in 16 days. That's 3 in 16, not 16 between. 3 games in 16 days. So counting Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 3 games in 16 days. Tell me the NFL cares about safety, I'll laugh in your face. You know what, though? The Players Association continues to sign off on the new CBAs because contracts keep going up. As long as salary cap keeps going up with an additional game, with 17 games, they're going to get to 18, they're going to get to 20. Roger Goodell said he wants to get rid of the preseason. They should. And the players will do it as long as their salaries keep going up. And they'll play on Christmas as long as their salaries keep going up. Don't let anybody ever tell you it's ever been about player health, because it's never been about that. All right, it's after further review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Pete Jenkins coming up right after the top of the hour. We'll get to what some proposed Marshawn Lattimore trades, how that might look if the Saints were offered something for Marshawn Lattimore. Excited to have Ryan Clark here in hour number 3. As I mentioned, if you missed it a bit ago, RC coached Bryce Underwood, the LSU 5-star quarterback commit, in that 7-on-7 tournament a couple of weekends ago, and raved about him. So I asked RC to come on the show to talk a little bit about what he saw. So we'll do that to start hour number 3. Got a ton to do. Glad you're here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. Hour 2 coming up right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
Brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. Y'all, Mother's Day is Sunday. Gents, don't screw it up. If you're not sure what to get, if you haven't gotten her anything yet, don't worry. Swing by Lee Michaels. You've got 9 locations in all. You got 2 in Baton Rouge, Corporate Boulevard in Bocage, then in the Mall of Louisiana. Got a location in Lafayette, in New Orleans, in Shreveport. Remember, when you buy a diamond from Lee Michaels, you will never buy a man-made or lab diamond. This isn't a science project. These are beautiful, pristine, gorgeous diamonds, highest quality from the finest diamond mines in the world. That's why Scott goes on these buying trips all over the world to buy the best diamonds to bring back here. And every diamond before it goes into the case at Lee Michaels is hand inspected by a family member. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Great gifts for mom. Check them out online at lmfj.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Cavaliers could be without starting center defensive anchor Jared Allen for the second-round NBA playoff series opener against the Celtics tonight. Jared Allen is questionable with a rib injury. Two MVP finalists face off tonight in Game 1. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder versus Luka Doncic and the Mavericks, 9 Eastern ESPN Radio. Still waiting for word from the NBA if a fine or suspension's coming the way of Nuggets guard Jamal Murray. He tossed a heating pad onto the floor during live game action in the second quarter of last night's loss to the Timberwolves. ESPN NBA analyst Jay Williams.
I feel like he should be suspended for a game. That was an inch away from Karl Anthony Towns planting his right foot right on that thing. That could have hurt him. He could have been out of the game. I understand it's not precedent, but I think that was such an immature move by Jamal Murray, and that could have been a really hurtful, nasty thing to happen.
The crew chief said after the game, Murray should have been called for a technical foul. Denver's down 2-0 Game 3 Friday in Minnesota. Edmonton's Connor McDavid, Colorado's Nathan McKinnon, Tampa's Nikita Kucherov, finalists for NHL MVP.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Ryan Clark, 1 hour from right now. Anthony Ranaudo will be here. Talk some LSU pitching in hour 3. Excited about that. But it is always our pleasure to invite one of my favorite people onto the show, Coach Pete Jenkins, for a couple of minutes. Got the Louisiana Lion Camp coming up, so good opportunity to talk about Louisiana Lion Camp and talk a little ball. Coach Pete, it's always a pleasure. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Hey, I was just thinking, that year went by in a hurry. It didn't seem like we were doing this yesterday.
Well, Coach Pete, the last time you and I talked, I don't know if you remember this, but it was the day after Nick Saban retired.
It was the day he had retired while we were on the phone.
Yeah, that's right. Oh,
yes,
man.
We were talking on the phone when the announcement was made. I do remember that.
Man.
Yeah, I do.
Well, yeah. I think this is going to be you got a little emotional that day, Coach Pete. I think this is going to be a happier conversation.
Hopefully it is. And I want to apologize again to you and your listeners, but I don't know that I can explain that to you, what that signaled to me, except for this. it's a way of life that I see that disappeared. You know what I mean? He was a man that stood up for what was right. He did things right. He had discipline. He had accountability. And there's, that's a big thing that's missing in our world today.
Coach Pete, you don't ever have to apologize for anything, man. So that was an authentic reaction, and I salute you for it.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, of course. Hey, I want to talk some D-line. Love to get some thoughts on these LSU guys that you coached last year that just got drafted. But the reason we're here, man, got to remind people about Louisiana Line Camp. We're fortunate enough to get to do this every year, and it reminds me of my week that I spent there at Line Camp. Long time ago now, Coach.
And we really appreciate it too. Thank you so much for getting this out for us. I appreciate it very much.
Of course. Well, let's remind people who are listening about Louisiana Line Camp and basically what it is for those that haven't heard us talk about it before.
Yeah. Well, and I guess I should record this where I could say it every year, but it's a camp that we started years ago. And the mission of the camp, at that time, it was Jesse Daigle, Kenny Farrow, and myself. And the mission of the camp, Matt, as you know, was to help kids to become better offensive and defensive linemen. And there wasn't any line camps at that time. There were receiver camps, kicker camps, quarterback camps. So we thought, because we all worked at LSU, and we thought that if we could, this camp, it would give us a way to help kids and also help us at LSU, because we were going to produce better offensive and defensive linemen in the state of Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
So the mission of the camp, and when I was approached about the camp, Jesse Daigle approached me about the camp, man. I told him, I said, Jesse, I do the LSU camp and all that. I said, I got to take a week of my vacation to do this line camp. And I don't want to do what we do at LSU, because it was a recruiting camp, and nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. That was just the mission of that camp, was to recruit, and we tested them and measured them in different ways, and we selected the better ones, and they really got a lot of the attention, to be honest with you. But I told him, I said, I really don't want to do that, and I don't want to take a week of my vacation to do that. If we do it, I want it to be a work camp. I want it to be dedicated to the mission that I mentioned earlier. Well, we started the camp in that way, and we stayed true to it all these years. It's our goal to help. It's our goal to help guys become more proficient at skills that they need to play effectively on the defensive line of scrimmage and on the offensive line of scrimmage. So we're really serious about it too, Matt. As you know, we're dedicated to every kid that comes there, leaves there potentially a better football player. So, yeah, I'm excited. I love the camp. Somebody asked me last year, how long are you going to do that thing? And I said, I'll just answer you this way, as long as I can. Amen. Because I really love it. And I've said this maybe even to you before. I leave Thibodeau after a week. I'm so tired. Because it's strenuous for the coaches as well as the kids. But I start missing and looking forward to next year before I get to Napoleonville.
You know what, Coach Pete? You know the thing that I remember so much about that camp? It was great. Yeah, we learned a ton. It's also great camaraderie, like for a whole team to go, right? Like our whole offensive and defensive line, everybody went. Yeah. So you're staying in the dorms, and so it builds a lot of team camaraderie. But what's funny, too, now is like there's no 2-a-days at football anymore. We had 4-a-days, right? Do y'all still do 4-a-days out there?
Three.
Three. Okay, just 3 now. Just 3-a-days now.
Just 3, yeah.
Hey, man, those get to be some long – they're productive, but those get to be long days, man. That's why you get the shirt that says, I survived line camp.
Yep, that's right. That's why the shirt reads that way, because we get a lot of individuals, a typical practice, would maybe, if I would be lucky, I would get 20 minutes of individual with my players. Individual is where kids learn to play the game. It's the skills involved in playing the game, okay? And so in a normal practice, I would get 20 minutes of individual. Well, the thing that happens down there is you get 2 hours of individual, 2 hours of individual, and 2 hours of individual. It's run, it's combination run and pass, and then it's pass. Well, it would take me an awful long time to get you 6 hours of individual at 20 minutes a day. So it's concentrated, but you get such great work, and you know, I think everybody kind of hangs on by their fingernails that last day or so, but it's really helped a lot of kids.
Hangs on by your fingernail. Make sure you got a lot of baby powder for the rash and the jackets you might get as well.
Yeah,
great memories there, man.
I know one coach that hangs on by his. I'll tell you that.
I believe that. Coach Pete Jenkins is our guest. I should mention, of course, if you want to register your son individually, or if you're a coach, you want to register your entire team, however you want to do it, LouisianaLionCamp.com. Just spell out LouisianaLionCamp.com, LouisianaLionCamp.com. You can register. The button's right there on the page to register there, LouisianaLionCamp.com. It's coming up June 15th to 18th, so we're just about a month away from Line Camp. Make sure you get down there.
Right.
Hey, Coach Pete,
right.
I can't let you go without at least asking you a little bit about the three guys from your D-line last year that got drafted, Mason Smith, Jordan Jefferson, Mekhi Wingo. Mason and Jordan both went to Jacksonville. Mekhi, well, I'm going a little later than we thought in round 6 up to Detroit. I'd love a thought on those three guys getting picked.
Yes, sure. Well, you know, the thing that let's start with Mason, okay? Because he went in the second round, and I talked to his coach last night. Actually, he hasn't. They really love the guy. He's going to report this weekend, and they think they love him now. They're going to really love him when they really get to know the guy. He's got a very high football IQ. Mason's he's a smart young man. His football IQ, though, I think is very high. I think this, and I tried to count it, Matt. I think he's played 18 or 19 games in his career. I heard him talking about on the draft last week, a kid that had started 47 games for in college football.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea. Mason has not played as much football. So when people would talk to me about him, I told them about his football IQ. I told him about his character. I told him that I thought he had a true desire to really be a good player, and that pro ball and football was really important with him. And the other thing that I pushed so hard at was, I think he's at the tip. I think his football is in front of him. And what I saw happen last year when I was fortunate enough to work with him, what I saw was an incremental improvement from week to week to week like that. Now, was it there all the time? No, it wasn't. Was it there in spurts? Yes. He would make plays that I talked to the head coach at the Giants. He said, Pete, of all the guys that you've had or whatever, who does he remind you of? And I said, well, I'm gonna bring it right back to your team, or the guy that was with your team is Williams.
Mm-hmm. Leonard Williams.
Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me on occasions, not all the time. Leonard was a more consistent player, but he reminds me, honestly, Matt, of Leonard Williams. I see him flash, and I see him do things, and I think, boy, that looks like Leonard, because I had Leonard at Southern Cal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I truly believe, and let me say this to you, he really got lucky in the draft, too. He got a really good line coach who is going to work in Thibodeau, actually. And then he got Ryan Nielsen as a coordinator, who is one of the best defensive line coaches in the National Football League. So he really, I consider both he and Jordan landing in a really good place where the defensive linemen are going to really get good coaching and a chance, I think, to really continue the improvement that boy's making. I look for the same thing to happen down there.
Yeah. What do you think?
Now, Jordan.
Yeah, please.
Let me say. Let me finish with this.
Sure.
See, I think this, and I begged Mason to stay. I begged him to stay at LSU, and I think if he'd have stayed another year at LSU, he'd been a high first round, because his football was really beginning to elevate and come, and he needed another year of maturity. So he got that knee hurt. Remember, in his sophomore year, he was celebrating an interception or something. Remember, and he hurt the knee.
Mm-hmm.
So he never was able to develop strength in his lower body because the knee hampered the progress of his working out. So he really needs some more strength and maturity. But I just think when he gets that, that's going to be such an aid to him.
Yeah.
Now, the other boy, Jordan Jefferson, who I really enjoyed coaching him. It was really funny with Jordan. One of my early conversations with Jordan, he and I sitting, and I said, Jordan, I love the way you play. I love your effort. You play like your damn hair's on fire. And I said, I love that about you. But what I don't love is you make so many critical errors. You hurt the defense. You really hurt the defense at times. You're vacating the gap. You're not carrying out assignments. You're getting people are scooping you out of there and working up to the linebacker and getting it. You really hurt us in the running game. And I said, we can fix that. I don't want you to change your personality, though. I want you to keep playing like you play with that vengeance I see. But we can fix those problems. If you'll work with me, we'll get those fixed. Well, the rest is history. I mean, the boy just got better and better as time went on. And that's what the pro coaches kept telling me. Watching him, he is developing so well, and he is so much better now than he was at the beginning of the season. He's different than Mason in this. He is a man now. I mean, a man. He did 34 reps on the bench. Now, that don't make you a football player.
Right.
But it does tell something about your strength, your upper body strength. And then, hey, man, he squats 750. I mean, the guy is a strong human being. So I just think, and he didn't learn a lot at West Virginia. He transferred to LSU from West Virginia, and the only thing he brought with him was a work ethic that was really good, really good. But his knowledge of football and everything was far behind what he should have been going to his senior year. So I think he's got some football in front of him too. It's a different case than Mason, but I still think he's got some football in front of him, and he's going to profit by the same thing. He's getting two damn good defensive line coaches.
Yeah,
good one. All right, and then Mackay, I'm like you. What you said earlier. I waited, and I knew he was suffering through it too. I waited because I really think that they passed over him for a lot of players that are not as good as him. But I do realize this. He had that, 2 years in a row he was hurt and had surgery on his groin and things like that. But I think this guy is really potentially good. I know the coordinator at Detroit, the defense coordinator at Detroit, and I worked with 3 or 4 of those guys in Dallas in July. But I wrote the coordinator at Detroit, and I told him, "You think you got a pretty good guy in low rounds and all that, but you're gonna really be proud and happy what you get, because he's got a heart. That boy's got a heart." And I told him, all you need is get your foot in the door, and they'll have a hell of a time getting it out, because that's the kind of person he is. And he texted me after the draft, and he said, "I got my opportunity now. I got to go to work." And this, last week, he sent me shots. He was on the LSU practice field, and he had his camera laying on the ground, and he was shooting himself doing sled work, doing explosion work. I mean, that's just kind of the guy. The guy's got a tremendous work ethic. When he got hurt, he hardly, I don't know if he missed a day of practice. They couldn't practice because he's recovering from surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But he would hold cards. He would come out there and work and watch. A lot of my teaching film, you look and you see him over there, and he's standing there watching and listening and everything. He truly loves the game, and he's the thing about him too, he's got tremendous leadership. So I think all three of those kids got a really good chance of being productive players if they stay well.
Sure.
That's everybody's if. But if they stay healthy and everything, I think all three of them are going to be down the road. They're going to be contributing players.
And it'd be even better if they went to line camp when they were in school. LouisianaLineCamp.com. I'll remind y'all again. Get your sons registered or your teams registered. LouisianaLineCamp.com. The one and only Pete Jenkins.
Can I
yes,
say
sir?
one other thing?
Of course.
Matt?
Of course.
If there's a coach listening or whatever, that we used to get a lot of coaches come over there and watch practice and visit with us and all. We don't get quite as many as we used to. Get some, but we don't get quite as many. But I want them to know that they're welcome to come and get right on the field there and watch and listen and look. That defensive field has got so many good football coaches on it. I mean, I just stand and look sometimes, and I'm amazed at what a coaching job those guys do down there. First of all, we got some of the top high school D-line coaches in the state, and then we got 10 pro defensive line coaches that come and work that camp. So, I mean, it's really a work camp. But I think the high school coaches, they're welcome to come. Let me just say that, Matt.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure. Coach Pete, it's always our pleasure, man. We'll keep pushing them your way down to Thibodaux for the camp, and we'll visit again soon, all right?
Thank you, Matt.
It's our pleasure. He's the best, Pete Jenkins. Let me knock out a break. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Y'all get on by. If you're making groceries, you want a bottle of Evermore, a pack of Evermore, you can get it there as well. Maybe you're looking for dinner tonight. You want dinner tonight, you don't feel like cooking, having leftovers, it's easy. Everybody in the family can get whatever they want. Walk into Rouse's, they got tons of options. They got their hot and boiled kiosk if you're feeling like seafood tonight. Maybe you want sushi. They got ready-made grab-and-go sushi for you there as well. They've got the hot bar and the salad bar, so you can make your plate of whatever it is you want. Maybe you want to go buy something from the seafood market, throw a couple of tuna steaks on the grill. You could do it at Rouse's. Freshest ingredients, and one of the things I love so much about Rouse's is in the Rouse's branded products, their seafood or whatever it may be, every opportunity they have to source locally, they do. They are invested in our state and in the Gulf. I love being partnered with Rouse's. Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Back and forth till we run out of light. Take it to the barn, put it up for the night. Climb up in the loft, sit and talk with the radio on. She says she's got
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. Ryan Clark in 35 minutes. If you missed it, we talked about it a bit last hour. RC coached LSU quarterback commit Bryce Underwood in his 7-on-7 tournament a couple of weekends ago. Said he's one of the 4 best, including Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, that he's ever seen at this age. So we're going to get some feedback from RC on LSU's stud quarterback commit for 2025. So on Monday, we spent a little bit of time talking about a potential trade for Marshon Lattimore. And the reason we talked about it is we went through the whole timeline and sequence of how the conversation about a possible Lattimore trade came up. And then ultimately, of course, they draft Kool-Aid McKinstry. Right before the draft, Mickey Loomis said point blank that he expected Lattimore to be on the team. And then they draft Kool-Aid McKinstry, and now everyone's wondering, well, are you really going to have him back on the team? And so Loomis was doing a podcast on Sirius XM Mad Dog Radio, and he was asked again about Lattimore and a potential trade.
Look, when a guy's a really good player for your team, they're not on the market per se. But there are times when you get a call and somebody makes a proposal, and it might make sense for you. That's true for any player on our team. You know, if you get an offer you can't refuse, you at least have to look at it. And so that's what I would say. I'm not actively trying to trade Marshon. Marshon's such a good player. He's an elite corner. He's had some injuries the last couple seasons that have kept him, off the field. And, we've got to get over that. It's not his fault. It's just circumstances. And so, that's just where we're at.
And like I said, I believe Mickey Loomis with all of that. I don't think he's actively trying to trade Lattimore. I think if the right offer came, he would trade him. But what kind of has been asked to me is, what would a trade for Lattimore look like? And so I was kind of looking at comparable trades, and then actually this popped up today at Pro Football Network, at PFN. They did a piece up that I'm trying to give attribution for who wrote this over at PFN. It's Dallas Robinson. Forgive me, I'm not familiar with Dallas Robinson, but he wrote this piece, and it's a handful of post-draft trade proposals they'd like to see, like the Cowboys getting James Conner from the Cardinals, the Ravens getting Juwan Jennings as a receiver for Lamar Jackson, the Raiders shipping Michael Mayer to the Colts. Remember, they drafted Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame a year ago. Well, they got Brock Bowers this year, so do you really need both those tight ends? You understand. Well, one of the trades that they proposed was a trade that would send Marshon Lattimore out of New Orleans. And the way that they phrase it actually is Saints dump Marshon Lattimore's contract. And the deal that they propose would send Lattimore to the Raiders, and the Saints would acquire a conditional 5th-round pick that could be upgraded to a 4th based on Lattimore's playing time. So the thing I think that's most important to remember here is whatever you think you're going to get from Marshon Lattimore, and I think fans, so many times when we talk about trades, people think, you think only in terms of what you'd like to get. Hey, could we get a 2 for Marshon Lattimore? Let me ask you this question. If you were on the other side of that trade, would you want your team to give up a 2 for a cornerback that's played in 17 games combined the last 2 years, that in his career has played 1 full season, and oh, by the way, you're acquiring a contract that next year would require you to pay him $31 million or eat $20 million of dead cap money? Would you want to give up a high draft pick for that? Unequivocally not. It's every time we have the conversation about the Saints restructuring deals, every time we talk about this, when you restructure a player's contract, it makes that player virtually untradeable because the contract structure is so bad. When you're trading a player, remember, you're not just trading the player, you're trading the contract. So this would have to be a team that has a really healthy cap situation that could do without or that could eat Lattimore's contract, number one, and also has such a desperate need at cornerback and envisions themselves a contender, a contending team that needs a starting cornerback. And they see Lattimore and go, you know what? We'll eat that contract to get peak Marshon Lattimore. We'll gladly give up a 5 that could become a 4 if he's a great player. But remember, the Bears just got a sack of coffee beans for Justin Fields. I mean, it's a starting quarterback in the NFL. You're not going to get great value in a draft asset for Marshon Lattimore. So your options, if you're the Saints, really are 2. Do you keep Marshon Lattimore on the team this year because you think you're a contender and he could be a great player for you? And so you say, we're gonna take the salary hit this year. We can off-ramp off the deal next year, and we'll get whatever we can out of Lattimore. And if we cut him or trade him next year, so be it. Or do you say, look, he's not going to be with us next year anyway. Anything we can get for him now is better than nothing next year. And that may be the path that they follow. But you'd have to decide, is it really worth taking the hit of not having Lattimore on your team this year for the benefit of a day 3 pick next year? And I think it really comes down to, do you think you're a contender? And if you think you're a contender, does Marshon Lattimore help your team? And the Saints continue to tell us they believe they're a contending team, and yes, they think Lattimore is going to help them. So unless if they get the amazing offer, which that ain't the amazing offer, I think Lattimore's on the team. So we'll see. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Pure Restoration, pure-restoration.com, pure-restoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor. If you've got odor from pets or smoke, maybe there was a fire. Remember, Pure Restoration, they are a full-service restoration company. They can handle all of your demo, build back. This patented non-toxic dry fog can also take out that smoke smell from a fire. Or you just want to sanitize a building. Schools and public facilities and medical facilities use Pure Restoration on a contract basis to make sure that their facilities stay clean and sanitized. It's Pure Restoration, commercial or residential. It's more cost-effective and it's more efficient. They can get in and out of your home in half a day. It's Pure Restoration, pure-restoration.com, pure-restoration.com, or like so many of you do, email me or tweet me or text me. Scone, what's the mold thing you always talk about? Pure Restoration. All right, y'all. It's after further review. Glad you're hanging out here with us. Remember, email us, tweet us, text us. Lots of ways that you get involved in the show. Thanks to Coach Pete Jenkins, who was here with us just a bit ago this hour. Cody said, restructure on a contract is like going upside down on a car trade. It's a good way of putting it. the benefit of trading in a car where you're upside down is you get out of the payment, in theory, but you still owe more than it's worth. I mean, that's what restructuring a deal does. You owe that player more than they're worth. But that's the corner the Saints have backed themselves into with the way they've approached contracts. And listen, there's two ways out of it. You spend less or you make more. We talk about it all the time. Spend less or make more. And the Saints are banking on the salary cap continuing to go up, i.e. getting a raise, making more money, which could get them out of the cap situation. But when you keep doing this at another level every single year, meaning restructuring deals, you're going to keep ending up in the same conversation. So, I don't know. Like, my druthers, if the Saints could get a 5 for Lattimore and get rid of the contract, I would do it. But I don't think the Saints are a contending team. The Saints think they are a contending team, which is why they may approach it differently. It's after further review. Let me knock out a quick break. DraftKings has updated Heisman odds. I want to tell you where Nussmeier is. Pretty prominent on there as well. And really one of the most fascinating draft profiles I have ever read about Harold Perkins. I'm going to share that with you next. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, two amazing hotel properties, Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Told you just about the Watermark. Remember Watermark Mother's Day over at the Gregory. I need to call over there to see if they still have seating available for Mother's Day. And forgive me, probably should have done that so I could tell you right now. But the Mother's Day buffet at the Gregory is a super, super popular way to treat mom on Mother's Day. Go downtown. Of course, remember I tell you all the time, if you're eating at the Gregory, it's complimentary valet parking at the Watermark. The whole lobby with the Gregory and the gorgeous bar scene is amazing. It's immaculate. If you're looking for a way to treat mom, do something different. Take her downtown to the Gregory inside of the Watermark Hotel this Mother's Day. From 10 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. is the buffet. So a brunch or maybe a late lunch with mom on Mother's Day. Why not do something different and go to the Gregory at the Watermark Hotel this Mother's Day? Treat mom at the Gregory.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal.
My tractor sexy. It really turns her on. She's always staring at me while I'm chugging along.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Friends at DraftKings have updated the 2024 preseason Heisman Trophy odds. I won't bury the lead. Garrett Nussmeier, they have it plus 2,000. Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers co-favorites at plus 900. Of course, Beck at Georgia, Ewers at Texas. Followed by Dylan Gabriel, who's now at Oregon. Jalen Milroe at plus 1,400. Will Howard at plus 1,500. Jackson Dart at plus 1,800, and then Nussmeier at plus 2,000. So 2, 4, 6. The 8th best odds, Garrett Nussmeier. Nico Iamaleava. I think I nailed it that time. Did I nail it? Iamaleava?
That sounded good. Iamaleava.
Iamaleava. At plus 2,000 is next. There's a whole bunch more players with odds. Of note, Shadur Sanders down at plus 3,500. Brady Cook from Missouri, plus 3,500. Connor Wegman, A&M, plus 3,500. Cade Klubnik over at Clemson, plus 4,000. For whatever it's worth, and it may not be worth a lot. Jaden Daniels last year, we forget, he didn't exactly come out of nowhere. Jaden Daniels had the second best odds in the preseason to win the Heisman Trophy. He was at plus 1,100. The reigning winner, Caleb Williams, was at plus 450. So for Jaden to have had the second best odds at plus 1,100, it's about where Dylan Gabriel is heading into this year. And that might make a lot of sense, except that Oregon's going into the Big Ten, and I think they're going to have a rude awakening in the Big Ten. Of course, it's hard to win the Heisman if you don't have a great team, although Jaden did it last year on a 3-loss team. I always I find it interesting to go back and look at previous years, then with the benefit of hindsight. So, like, in 2022, the preseason betting favorite, this is the year that Williams won it. The betting favorite was C.J. Stroud at plus 220. Then Bryce Young was at plus 380. Then Williams was plus 700. I mentioned last year, Jaden Daniels had the second best odds and won it. The outlier kind of course, was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow back in 2019 in the preseason was plus 10,000, meaning a $100 bet won you $10,000 on Joe Burrow winning the Heisman Trophy, which is incredible. But since Joe Burrow won the Heisman Trophy with preseason odds of plus 10,000, Vegas will never doubt LSU quarterbacks again, which is such a weird about face where it was laughable to think LSU would ever have a quarterback in a position to win a Heisman Trophy. Well, then Joe Burrow emphatically kicks in that door in 2019, and then even a year later in 2020, Miles Brennan had the 11th best preseason odds. Miles Brennan, who hadn't taken a meaningful snap for LSU since his true freshman year against Troy, had the 11th best odds. It was like, oh, we're not getting burned on that again. And no LSU quarterback will get, like, Vegas isn't going to get burned on an LSU quarterback again. It's almost like whoever's the quarterback for Lincoln Riley's team, whoever's the quarterback at Oregon, whoever's the quarterback at Ohio State, like, you're going to have great odds. And sure enough, so Garrett Nussmeier at plus 2,000. By the way, if I had to pick a long shot, I don't know, do either of you have an opinion on this? I'm putting you on the spot here. My long shot, and I hate to say this, and y'all are going to think it's ridiculous that I'm going to say it, my long shot would be Jackson Dart. His odds are slightly better than Nuss at plus 1,800. But if Ole Miss gets past LSU, they got to be. I mean, they get Georgia at home, and that's going to be. I'm sorry, Georgia's on the road. Like, that's going to be a really tough game, obviously. But I think you could lose it. But Dart's going to put up great numbers, and they're going to be a contending team, and he's going to be a 3-year starter at a contending team with a great coach and a lot of talent. I think that's, much I hate to say it, Dart's probably the one. Like, if I had to take a long shot that wasn't Beck or Ewers or one of those guys, I'd probably take Dart. Either of you have a thought?
Yeah, I mean, no, that was mine. I was kind of hoping you were going to say somebody else, but that no, I mean, Jackson Dart is mine. 1,800 feels like kind of a steal for him. Ole Miss is all in, man.
That's good value.
It's very good value.
Milroe at 1,400 is laughable to me. I'm just such not a believer in Jalen Milroe. I watched him stink enough last year. Did you see him stink in the Rose Bowl where he threw for like 110 yards? He's a great athlete, but when he faced better defenses, his inability to throw the football is so glaring. So, yes, deep shots. And, oh, by the way, who's he going to throw the ball to this year? Anybody? They got any receivers in Tuscaloosa? I don't know. They got anybody left? Everybody went pro, like Isaiah Bond went to Texas. Like, who's there?
Just that stud freshman, right? Wilson or whatever his name was.
Auburn's the one with the one that's super high on their freshman coming out of spring. I learned that from our spring recaps.
There you go.
Anyway. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Relief Windows, reliefwindows.com. I want to read this. I am going to get to this here. I told you there is a one of the most fascinating draft profiles I've seen of Harold Perkins. I want to read this for you real quick. But remember, Relief Windows and reliefwindows.com. Energy efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank vinyl siding. If you're not watching, I wish you were so you could see this. But if nothing else, go to the website at reliefwindows.com. But Relief Windows has a cool new 3D model. It's a feature where it's a three-dimensional home, and whatever windows or siding, whatever color, whatever features that you want to add, like if you're visual like me, like I can't imagine looking at a panel what it would look like on my entire house. They can take this 3D mock-up and show you a three-dimensional home with those windows, with that color, with that trim, those features, exactly how it would look. It's amazing. Got to do it there in-house. So you schedule that appointment by calling them at 288-8138, 288-8138, or go to reliefwindows.com. Windows, doors, siding. Oh, yeah. They do indoor shutters as well. Reliefwindows.com. How about this? Our buddy Chris Trapasso ranked the top 10 defensive prospects for the 2025 draft over at CBSSports.com. And he's got, by the way, Harold Perkins as the 9th best defensive player for next year's draft. And this after we saw Jordan Reed from ESPN have Perkins mocked as the 24th pick in next year's draft. Now, I'm a little, if nothing else, a smidge skeptical just because I don't know how Perkins fits into this defense, right? If you're going to continue to make him an off-ball linebacker, I don't know how that exactly is going to work. But this write-up really gave me pause because there's another athlete that I thought of whenever I read it. I don't want to read the whole thing. But part of what Trapasso wrote is that Perkins, who is an instant hit at 18 years old for the Tigers in 2022, he writes, Perkins is one of the most athletically gifted, ubiquitous defenders I've watched in a long time. And it's not only a matter of LSU coaches trusting him to play anywhere defensively, it's that he flourishes regardless of pre-snap alignment. Noting that he played box linebacker, defensive line, edge rusher, in the slot, all the different places that he played, went through the stats and all that sort of stuff, and notes that his future is not strictly on the outside in the NFL. And notes all you have to do is watch one defensive series from LSU to notice how incredibly explosive and flexible Perkins is. His movement skills jump off the screen like he's playing at 1.5 times everyone else. One of the most incredibly descriptive write-ups I've seen on Perkins, and fascinating to call him a ubiquitous player, which almost means he's positionless. And you know what I thought of? You know who I thought of when I heard that? I thought of LeBron James. And we could have whatever convo we want about LeBron and make fun and all this stuff. The truth about LeBron is he's the only player in NBA history, literally the only one ever, to be listed at all 5 positions in his career. Listed. You can go to LeBron's career, and he's been listed at some point in his career at every one of the 5 positions on the floor. That has never happened. He is ubiquitous. You can put him anywhere on the floor, and he will be great at wherever you put him on the floor. That's what makes LeBron different. And maybe that's the thing that's going to make Harold Perkins not only great this year at LSU, but whenever he gets to the NFL, it just really feels like at the next level, fit is going to be so massive. What coach gets him? We try to say the same thing about Isaiah Simmons when he was coming out of Clemson. Well, is he a safety? Is he a box safety? Is he a linebacker? Does he rush the passer? He does a lot of things well, but he had to go to the right spot. Maybe the same thing will be true for Perkins. Ubiquitous. I love that word to begin with. I think it nails exactly what Harold Perkins is. Okay, Tuesday shows powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Final break here of hour number 2. Muse will have Tigers in the Pros. Don't you move.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery. Of course, 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where they are. Seagan near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Buy local, shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. We were at Clegg's on Seagan back on Saturday. It was our Mother's Day weekend that we always go do. Bring Erica over there, and I just get to push Drew around in a wagon, and Erica gets to go buy whatever she wants. So she buys a whole bunch of beautiful flowers, and then we go back to the house and plant them, and I can't complain. That's our deal. She has to remind me, you can't complain. You can't huff and puff whenever I spill potting soil. If I go to throw stuff away, and I miss the bag or whatever, you can't complain. When I hold the bag, like all that sort of stuff. That's our Mother's Day agreement. But Clegg's is always a part of our tradition, so they should be part of yours as well. Spring is here. You want to beautify those patio pots, the flower beds, your lawn and garden. Clegg's can help you do it. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in when you go see our friends at Clegg's Nursery.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined we...
Well, she ain't in the cars or pickup trucks, but if it runs like a deer, man.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Wrapping up hour number 2, Muso Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the Pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
Let's start with Joey B. Joe Burrow back out at practice for the Cincinnati Bengals, throwing a football, and by all accounts, throwing the football well. His teammates and wide receivers have complimented that the velocity is where it should be coming off that wrist injury. For what it's worth, Burrow, given a bit of a time limit, not a time limit, a timetable, mentioned that he expects it to kind of be similar to the ACL injury. When he came off the ACL after his rookie season, said it took about a year for him to feel normal. Expects this to be similar, but said, quote, fortunately, that coincides with the beginning of training camp, start of the season. We're in a good spot. So Joey B, man, looking like he's coming back with a vengeance here for 2024. Let's go. Let's go. I'm fired up for it. All right, Major League Baseball. Josh Smith. Little pinch hit AB last night for the Rangers. Thought he was going to get a day off. Then they said, you know what? Look, the guy that's playing, he's 0 for 2. We need you to come in here and get a knock. And that's what he did. 1 for 1, run scored.
That was last night?
Yep, that was last night.
Well, by the way, how about an hour ago he got an RBI single?
I was getting there. But
well, why are you talking about last night?
Well, because I was going to take them, just kind of in order. Go last night and then be like, oh, by the way, it's getaway day in Oakland. They're spanking the Athletics like 15-2.
Awesome.
Yeah. So 1 for 1 last night with a single and a run scored and a walk. And then, oh, by the way, it's getaway day in Oakland, and they're spanking the Athletics 15-4. Josh Smith is 1 for 5 in the ballgame with an RBI single. He would also come around to score after that single as well.
Well, if you'd sent me the video earlier, like if you'd prepped and sent me the video, then I would have known, but I had to go search for it.
You just couldn't wait.
Well, it's because you didn't send me the video, just like you didn't send me the video of Joe Burrow throwing, so I had to go find it so Paulie could play it.
Well, I didn't know how much time we were going to have either right here, Matt, in this segment.
But you know we're going to do the segment every day.
All right, hold on. I got one more.
Okay.
Nas Reed last night.
Oh, should have stayed.
Yeah, he should have. 14 points, 5 boards. 4 blocks for Nas.
How about it?
I mean, just swatting it everywhere, and the Timberwolves put it on the Nuggets. They lead that series 2-0. Yeah, Tigers in the pros.
Man. Let's see. Oh, how about this little nugget? How about this little nugget? The Nuggets were 0-11. I'm sorry, 0 for 11. They shot 0 for 11 when Nas Reed was the primary defender last night. How about that? How about that little nugget? See, Muse? That's what research does for you. You should try it sometimes. Ryan Clark next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawbillsTire.com. ShawbillsTire.com. If you need tires, buy the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. That's Shawbills. Love telling you about Shawbills because Shawbills is family-owned and operated. They've been doing this since 1968 when Mr. Charlie opened the doors. If you go to the website, you go anywhere at Shawbills, you're going to see 2 things. You're going to see the Charlie's Dozen. That's a dozen benefits extended to you and your family whenever you buy tires at Shawbills, like free balancing, free tire rotations, free tire repairs, the price match guarantee. And you're also going to find the Shawbills Customer Bill of Rights. The thing that is, as a company, they believe every single customer that walks their door is entitled to, and they hold every employee to that standard. This isn't just about going to buy tires or get your vehicle fixed. They understand that. They want to treat you like family so you're comfortable, so you keep coming back. It's a reason they've been in business for 56 years. ShawbillsTire.com. Shawbills, we keep you rolling.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Cavaliers may again be without one of their starters tonight. Center defensive anchor Jared Allen listed as questionable for Game 1 of the second-round NBA playoff series against Boston with a rib injury. Mavericks and Thunder also get underway tonight. Luka Doncic, Shea, Gilgeous-Alexander are the names on the marquee for the series, but it will come down to much more than them, notes ESPN NBA senior writer Zach Lowe.
You need everybody. There are going to be games that come down to, does Derek Jones make enough plays off the dribble or crash in the offensive glass? Do the Mavericks centers defend the rim well? Does Cason Wallace make corner threes? You want to win a championship? You're going to have moments in every series where the 8th guy, the 9th guy, the 12th guy steps up in a big moment and makes a big play.
Game 1 Thunder Mavs, 9 Eastern, ESPN Radio. Colorado's Nathan McKinnon, Edmonton's Connor McDavid, Tampa Bay's Nikita Kucherov, finalists for NHL regular season MVP. McDavid's won the Hart Trophy 3 times. NHL Draft Lottery coming up at the bottom of the hour on ESPN. Sharks, best odds at the #1 overall pick.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Make sure your family is well taken care of with life insurance. Protect your phones, laptops, and more with electronic device insurance. And cover your furry friends with pet health insurance.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
I'll let it slide this time. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Sue. And Mr. Toby Tom Blake. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. A week ago, on Monday, I was flying to New York, and I got a text from our friend RC that he listed 4 names: Bryce Underwood, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, and Trevor Lawrence. He said 4 best quarterbacks I've ever seen at this age. Come to find out, RC was coaching Bryce Underwood at a 7-on-7 tournament in Orlando. That had a lot of LSU commits and targets on it as well. So RC's good enough to jump board with us and maybe make another Heisman prediction. RC, how are you, man?
I'd be better if I was a better coach. I didn't let Patrick Mahomes get beat by Brock Purdy in that tournament.
What happened? What happened?
Man, so I met all of those young men on Saturday, and we started playing on Saturday. So I didn't know the kids on the team other than Keelan Moses just from being here in Baton Rouge. And so we ended up playing a team. I think at the time we played them, they were 30-1. We played them in the semifinals. We were already kind of beating like the number 1, number 2 team in the tournament. And they pencil whipped us, bro. Like they just straight up X and O'd us. And I see everything from like a 13-year NFL veteran brain, right? Where I've done all these things so many times where if I tell you this on the sideline or if we walk through it before the game, we can make the adjustment. Man, I got out-coached so bad. It was like Bill Belichick coaching against Bobby Boucher's coach in Waterboy.
Wait, was that before or after he got his confidence back? Because when he got his confidence back, he was really
before.
good.
This was before when they stole his notebook or whatever it was, bro.
Well, I'm sorry it didn't work out for you, man. I'm sorry it didn't work out. But at least you got a really up-close view of some really good plays. Did you say pencil whipped? I never heard anybody say pencil whipped.
He's just drawing up stuff, bro, and I couldn't stop it. I was like, the level of frustration I had. I think we mic'd up, and I forget we're mic'd up.
Oh.
And so this kid on defense, and he's playing pretty well, but I'm looking at him and assessing him, and I'm like, well, he's really not that good, but he's like talking a ton of trash, and I'm frustrated because we can't stop him. And, man, I just scream, and I forget, and Yanka ends up texting me, and she goes, Ryan, stop screaming that people's children are terrible at football. because I told my player when they were talking trash, I was like, stop talking to him. I was like, he is not good at football. He is terrible. Stop talking.
Because this was on ESPN, right?
It's NFL Network.
NFL Network.
Yeah.
Because RC, I was sitting in the airport last Monday, and I'm looking. I could see that it was a 7-on-70, but I didn't know what it was that I was watching. So I kind of wish I had the volume up.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was so impressive about Bryce Underwood?
Oh, he's an adult. He's an adult grown man. And I'm not talking one, he can make every single throw. There are, if you go to like the overtime 7 or OT 7, like Twitters and 7-on-7s, there's like 17 million posts just dedicated to what he did Sunday morning because it was that unbelievable. There's a drive. And so in these tournaments, you can get a money ball. So think about like the money ball in 3-point competition where scores are worth more. So we're down to one of the best teams in the tournament. It's the last drive, and I say go with the money ball. But we're going with the money ball, and there's like 14 seconds left. Coach draws up a play. Kid's wide open. This kid's phenomenal. It's Julius Jones. He used to play for the Cowboys. It's his son. He's a freshman at St. Thomas Aquinas, plays receiver. He's phenomenal. He's killing all day. So he drops the ball, wide open, drops the ball, who would have scored. So it's the next play. It's like 10 seconds left. We run another play. There's 2 guys on this same kid. Bryce has to throw the ball in between these 2 guys, in between the sideline. Perfect pass. He gets out of bounds. The next play, we get a deep crosser across the middle. I'm telling you, man, he throws it into like a team meeting. It's like 6 people in there, bro. It's a team meeting. 6 seconds left in the game, and he throws it, and somehow it finds our guy. And he knew it. He threw it with so much confidence. But I think, to me, what impressed me the most, he was the best player out there, and it wasn't even close. But he was so mature, such a good leader. And what these tournaments are about, right? They're going to use the best players and the most prominent players to promote what they're doing. And so in between games, when we're trying, because remember, we just met these kids Saturday, when we're trying to teach offense, teach defense, he's having to do photo shoots. He's having to do videos. And he was so gracious. He's signing autographs. And, you can just tell, there's some kids who are just really talented and they aren't ready to be what they have the possibility to become. It almost feels like he was born to do it. And, man, it was just, like I said, man, I coached Justin Fields in the opening 7-on-7 the weekend. He went from being the number 2 player in the country to tied or to 1-1A with Trevor Lawrence. If he threw 100 passes that weekend, Matt, maybe one of them was off target. It was just phenomenal. And we played Trevor that weekend, and Trevor was great. You know, I actually did well defensively that day. Bryce Underwood is he's better than them at this age.
Wow.
He's better.
Can you give me some context, RC? Like, I don't look. I just never played at a high level, and I never did 7-on-7 or anything like that.
Yeah.
But how can we tell, or how can you tell if it's? So you say he's the best you've seen at this age, which is such a mouthful, considering the names you just mentioned, who are all top 5 picks.
Right.
But, like, can you give me some context on what that means as we try to project what Bryce Underwood is like at LSU?
Truth? Like harsh truth?
Yeah.
We should hope that Nussmeier plays himself into being a first-round pick and leaves. One, that means we're really good.
Yeah.
Right? And I believe he has that level of arm talent as well. But you don't want to sit this kid because he's only going to be here 3 years.
How do you feel about playing freshmen at that position?
So what I think is all of the really good ones for the most part play. I think it's okay to let him sit a year though, right? When you look at Bryce, he sat behind Mac. CJ sat behind Justin. Right. But I want you to think about this. Bryce sat behind the runner-up to the Heisman and the 15th overall pick. CJ sat behind a Heisman finalist and the 11th overall pick. Those guys, or those sorts of guys, only sit behind the type of players I just mentioned.
Right.
Think about Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence goes into Clemson, and he's backing up Kelly Bryant. They're alternating a little bit. He's backing up Kelly Bryant. Remember, Kelly Bryant was like 11-2 the year before.
Yeah.
And eventually, Dabo Swinney makes the decision, hey, we're going to start Trevor because he's that good. Bryce is that sort of good. Like that, he's that sort of different from everybody else in his class. You know, and I got to see the rest of the quarterbacks. Kid is going to Ohio State, too, really good as well. I got to see the rest of the quarterbacks at the opening at the Super Bowl, made the Pro Bowl this year, you know. And so, you know, there are all these things that go into it. But for me, it's imagine this, Matt. Imagine you're a quarterback. There's 5 players you have an opportunity to throw the ball to. And the first time you're seeing the play that you're going to run, like this is like you stepping up and you're going to do an entire show. And the first time they tell you what the rundown is when they say show started. Right? So he gets to play. And now you don't know what defense the guys are running. So in your head, you have to compute this play that they just showed you on the sheet. They tell you who your first read is, or they tell you how to read it out. And you're going, okay, number 1 is not open. On the sheet that I just saw for the first time in my life, number 2 or my second route is here, and my third route is here, or this is the guy I'm going to. So it's not like he had an opportunity to practice this. And this kid is going from 1 to 2 to 3. And even on the first day, because he came with some kids on his team who aren't as highly ranked players as some of the players we already had or we put together. And he comes to me that day and he goes, Coach, like I came with 2 of my guys. Like I'm comfortable with them. I know them. I immediately go to the offensive coach. I said, I don't care what you got to do. Those 2 have to play. I was like, I don't care if we don't think they're as good as the other people. I'm like, he's comfortable with them. But he came to me and said that because he knew what it would mean. And he was better the next day. And he was great throwing the ball to them 2 because he knew them and he understands them. But he also had the confidence and the understanding and awareness to know if I get those 2, no matter what my coaches think or the people that put this team together think, if I get those 2, I'm better. And I'm also confident enough as a 17, 18-year-old man to go tell this 13-year NFL veteran, NFL analyst of 10 years, Super Bowl champion, that that's what makes me better.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that level of understanding, a kid from Detroit that understand what coming to LSU and having the Malik Neighbors and the Jamar Chases and the Brian Thomas types on your team, what that will allow him to be I just think he's so far ahead of the game mentally, and then obviously the talent is off the charts.
Hey, RC, before you run, man, I appreciate the time so much. You had other guys on the team. Harlan Berry was there. We've had Keelan Moses in studio, who's so impressive.
Harlan Berry is the second best player in the class. Oh my gosh. Matt, I be honest, I don't know what he's going to play.
He's not going to be running back?
I don't know. He's 185 pounds, maybe. Like, he's not big. And so if he plays running back, you got to use him the right way. Right? Like, this guy should be your starting punt returner. I want you to think, here you go, you're an LSU guy.
Okay.
I want you to think if you took Skylar Green, college Skylar Green, now who Skylar Green was in the pros, right?
Okay.
College Skylar Green, and you made him more skilled and a step faster.
Ooh.
That's who he is.
I like that.
He catches everything, because remember, we can't run the football at 7-on-7.
Mm-hmm.
He catches everything, and in the open field, people can't two-hand touch him. And listen, like, I'm not, you know me, bro. Like, I wouldn't come build these kids up, because I would hate for them to enter with some expectation based on somebody unbelievably believing my words, and then there's a pressure. But I actually have no fear that they're this good. Like, something's going to have to happen that Bryce Underwood isn't the number 1 overall pick in 3 years or 4 years once he comes. Something got to happen. Like, if Harlan Berry doesn't become one of the most dynamic football players in college football. Now, with Harlan, though, it could be he only gets 12 touches a game, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to be Leonard. You know, it's going to be 12 offensive touches and returns. But in those 18 touches, like, this is a dude that could be 160 all-purpose, 200 all-purpose yards a game for LSU. And I just think, man, you got to be excited about that. He is like baby football. Super touching.
I'm so glad we got that on tape. Because I have a feeling, RC, in about 3 years, you're going to be like hitting me on Twitter when somebody gets up in your mentions and is like, you didn't predict. You're like, Sconey, pull up the tape. I'm like, I got it.
Sconey, I've been pretty good about the LSU guys on here, man. I've been pretty spot on.
You were the first before 2019. You did call the Joe Burrow emergence when that wasn't we went through it. He was preseason. His Heisman odds were plus 10,000. So you were early on the Burrow, and then you definitely did say Jaden, could win a Heisman before he left LSU. So pretty good, especially when it comes to quarterbacks, RC. So
I've been beaten up by enough of the good ones. You know what I'm saying? You get beat by enough of the good ones, bro. You pencil whip. I got pencil whipped by Coach Joe from Hawaii.
That's so good. All right, he is Ryan Clark. I always appreciate we get a couple of minutes. Thanks, RC. Appreciate you, man.
Man, have a great day. All right, bro.
Be well. That is Ryan Clark. At RealRClark25 on Twitter. Make sure you check out the Pivot as well. I really was when I was flying. I was watching their draft episode of the Pivot, which was great. Go if you want to see something, go watch. Malik jumped on the Pivot with them on draft night, and the other their reaction when Michael Penix went 8th, because they were doing a live show during the draft, or I guess they were filming themselves live during the draft, and then obviously post-produced and put it out. But yeah, go check out the Pivot if you haven't yet. The draft episode was awesome. Okay. It's After Further Review. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Remember, college students, $500 off your purchase just for being a college student. So if you're trying to buy that first car, you need a little break, South Point Volkswagen gives that to you. Moms and dads, maybe you're buying that vehicle for your upcoming grad, high school, or college. Great place to go over at South Point Volkswagen. They had 0% for 60 months right now at South Point Volkswagen. Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, airline just north of Highland, or southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Good stuff, man. Are you like as fired up now about about Underwood and Harlan Berry? We got to save the end of that when he made the prediction about those two guys. Clip it, Muse.
Okay.
You got to clip it, file it away, because seriously, I don't want to have to go try to dig that up in 3 years and find it, because that's going to come up again for sure. For sure. I didn't want to lead him to a prediction, so I'm glad he just went to it on his own, because he has been good about that. He's nailed a couple of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, an anonymous coach talked about Spencer Rattler. We'll get to that next, AFR.
AFR.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Love our friends over at Sunshine, man. Well, they got, you know what they got coming up? Well, I don't know if I should say this. Of course, Sunshine did a lot of really cool NIL deals last football season. They're already getting to work on some of those for this coming season. Excited about that. They'll also be down in the Mud Bug Boil-Off in Thibodaux this weekend. Their current champs beat 70 teams last year. You better believe it. You ride tractors, you sell John Deeres, you service them, get your hands in the land. I believe you're going to be the best dang crawfish mud bug boilers in Thibodaux in the world. That's what they are. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I saw this. Muse, I think you sent this to me. There's a guy at Pro Football Network named Dakota Randall. Don't know who he is. He did a thing where it was like each team's biggest remaining need after the draft. He said the Saints' biggest remaining need, safety.
Did I send you that?
I don't know. I thought so. Tell me you know nothing about the Saints without telling me you know nothing about the Saints. The New Orleans Saints, as of today, have 2 starting offensive linemen. 2.
Yeah.
1-2. Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz. Everything else is a hope and a prayer. Like, we hope Taliesin Fuanga becomes a day 1 starter. Didn't we hope the same thing for Trevor Penning?
We
who
did
the
hope
Saints
that.
took in round 1?
Yeah.
Did we hope that?
We hoped that.
Yeah, did that happen?
Some are still hoping that.
Did that happen?
Nope.
Didn't happen. We hope Ryan Ramczyk is ever able to play again. Are we confident Ryan Ramczyk's ever going to be able to play again?
No, we're not.
I don't think so. We hope they can salvage Trevor Penning. Maybe he could be your starting left tackle. Maybe he could be your starting left guard. Maybe he's just going to stink and be out of the league. I don't know. We can hope. We can hope that Nick Saldiveri becomes a starting caliber player. We can hope Landon Young is more than just number 6. Number 67 is reporting eligible. Number 67. We can hope Oli Udoh is like a really good start. We can hope, can't we?
We can. What about the 2 guys they just signed who have both been injured for the last 3 years?
That happened while I was in New York.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's when I was in at Jazz Fest.
No, New York.
That was when I was in New York.
I was in New York.
We can hope, Muse, that they are
hope.
awesome. This guy said that safety. Safety, which, by the way, Tyrann Mathieu led your team in tackles last year. Actually had his most productive year probably since 2019 with the Chiefs last year. Yes, you haven't replaced Marcus May, but the 2 guys that you have are the reason you were willing to cut Marcus May. Because Jordan Howden and Jonathan Abram, who's a former first-round pick, by the way, started in his place last year. Both played better than he did when he was healthy. And then you went and signed Will Harris as well. And oh, by the way, when they were playing, the Saints' pass defense last year was 10th best in the NFL. How about that?
That's a good stat. I like that.
10th best in the NFL last year. Safety's the biggest need.
Maybe they can protect Derek Carr.
Hughes, I don't care if you and I are playing safety. That's still not as big a need as only having 2 starting offensive linemen. 2. 1, 2. And one of them is Cesar Ruiz.
Yeah.
Who's maybe the worst starting guard in the NFL. You could make an argument, PFF and all the grades and everything, you could make an argument that of your 2 starting offensive linemen, 2, one of them is the worst in the league in his position. How is that not universally understood to be the Saints' biggest position of need? Fire that guy. I'm not a fire the coach guy. I'm not a fire the writer guy.
He's not a coach. I'm about to say he's not a coach, man.
I'm not a fire the writer guy. I don't think we should call for people's jobs, but I think you have to call into question the credibility of this organization. What was that again? Pro Football Network.
There you go. Pro Football Network.
I get a call to the question of credibility. Is that a real thing? I know everybody thinks. Here's my thing, Muse. I don't know what Pro Football Network is. I think everyone knows Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
And so then you hear Pro Football Network and like, oh, we're going to make it adjacent to that, just close enough to where you think it's credible, but maybe it's really not because guys like that write pieces. And they say that safety is the Saints' biggest need when this is an offensive line that has how many starters? Two. And one of them is Cesar Ruiz.
Yeah. So
Where,
one and a
you know
half?
how bad the Saints' offensive line is, Muse?
How bad is the Saints'
You know how
offensive
bad
line?
they are?
How bad?
We're disappointed Andrews Pete signed with the Raiders. That's how bad this offensive line is. The New Orleans Saints, I don't know the offensive line situation for every team in the NFL. I don't know all 32 offensive lines. But I will confidently say that there is not another team in the NFL that, as of today, only has 2 starting offensive linemen. 2. And one of them being Cesar Ruiz. Well, he couldn't start for anybody else because he starts for the Saints.
That's true.
But of that quality.
Yes.
I don't think the Saints' offensive line's any good, Muse.
I couldn't tell at all. I actually thought you had some hope there.
And you know why I know Muse, you know why I know they're not any good?
Why do you know they're not any good?
Because I can see with crystal clear vision thanks to the Williamson Eye Center. It says it right there. I got to do my Williamson read. 924-2020. I see better than 2020, actually, Muse. 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. Call Dr. Blake Williams. Set up that free consultation for the Williamson Eye Center. Get rid of the contacts and glasses forever. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. I'm late. We went long with RC, who was awesome, and it was so worth it. But Anthony Ranaudo is going to join us next, and I'm pumped about this. I want to talk to the big fella about Gage Jump, how he's turned the corner, the rest of this pitching staff. Can they carry it forward? Look, he was on a team in 2010 that got they started hot, struggled, and a little ambiguous, got into the postseason, struggled there. But anyway, I want to talk to Ranaudo about that when we come back. Glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Hey, AFR is brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. They're all over town. Your friends, your neighbors. I trust River City's 1 Hour Air. I want to remind you as well, join their maintenance club. They're going to ask you about it when they come by the house. Join the maintenance club. The monthly fee you pay, this will pay for itself because your seasonal maintenance is complimentary. So when you have your heater safety check and your AC tune-up, those are complimentary services. When you're a member of their maintenance club, it also gets you front-of-the-line service, membership club pricing. It is so worth doing to make sure your heater and your AC last. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal. a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner.
She thinks my tractor's sexy.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
He's got immense talent. I knew he would be successful here. I think that he's baseball. Like, he's a baseball guy. We have a few of these guys on our team, like, they're consumed with it. And so he's a guy that can take that talent, has the mental disposition. He's made some adjustments, but look into the game and go like, hey, I need to do this. And he's probably right, because he pours, everything he has into it. And it's fun to see the trajectory going where it's going right now.
Jay Johnson talking about Gage Jump, who, man, the last month has just been freaking awesome. Anthony Ranaudo, national champ, former major leaguer, the Up and In show, Cards and Culture there in Perkins Road. Guys got so much going on, always good enough to spend a couple of minutes with us. How are you, dude?
I'm doing great, man. It's been too long since I've been on the show, so thank you for asking me to come on. I'm happy to be here, man.
We're glad to have you back, man. So in the last month, what has happened with Gage Jump?
I think for me, I've been the biggest Luke Holman fan, so I think, one, he has just absolutely taken over that Friday night spot, which was a shock to me because I think Luke Holman is a true ace. So I think he has shown us that he has, major league stuff first and foremost. He's probably, I don't know if it'll be this year or next year, just depending on, if he puts in enough work in the postseason and things like that. But, it's proven that he'll be a top round, some sort of high draft pick. But obviously kind of a bona fide Friday night starter, the things that he's done in the last month, and he has been a ton of fun to watch. So electric stuff from the left side, and seems like a true competitor out there. So it's been awesome to watch for sure.
Do you think that, so this is kind of a big question, assuming, especially after this weekend, that LSU's odds of making a regional now have increased dramatically?
Absolutely.
When you have Holman jump, or jump Holman in that order now, like, is that enough in the postseason to, we've all talked, you got to have the 1-2 punch, right? But is that enough?
It's funny because, in the things that I've been on a few radio shows and the content pieces that we put out, I've been saying one of the most exciting things every year for me is the development and who kind of steps up in the different roles, right? We saw Christian Little come out of the bullpen this weekend and give us a bunch of length. We've seen Griffin Herring pitch in high leverage situations and give us length out of the pen. Obviously, you got Nate Ackenhausen, who's, a veteran and can provide, whether you want him to start, come out the pen. And then I think Cade Anderson is a true weekend starter, and I wish that he would get a little bit more opportunity on the weekend. But I do think it is enough. I think, with Jump giving us 6 or 7 and then being able to go to the bullpen if a guy like Christian Little can step up and Ulola does his thing coming back, we kind of saw that last weekend. And then obviously the things Griffin Herring's doing, I think you have enough to bridge to the end of the games. And I think that 1-2 punch or 1A, 1B with Gage and Luke is absolutely there and gives us a lot of potential. And I think we have enough offense, obviously, to be able to play with the big boys.
Hey, I want to go. Anthony Ranaudo's with us. I want to go back to Cade Anderson here for a second. The thing about Cade is he's been really good in the midweeks. he's really struggled on the SEC weekends. Why are you bullish on him getting more weekend opportunities?
Well, I think we've only seen him start a game once, and honestly, like, for me, as a freshman, he would have given up one run in that inning. I think everybody that knows baseball, that was an unfortunate, turn of events for him in that one start. So I think you ask a kid that's been a starter his whole life to come out of the bullpen against Mississippi State and some of these people on the road, that are tough situations for a kid that inflate those numbers in the SEC. But, you see the stuff when he starts midweek, and I wish that he would kind of have a little bit of a leash on a Sunday, especially in some things where, just let him compete and let him get out there and let him rise to the occasion, and just like I said, that one start I think was so unfortunate for him, giving up that 5 spot in that inning and things like that, and the way that those little, the blue pit and then the shift obviously killed him. So, that's why I'm bullish. I would love to see him get out there and compete in a high leverage situation. I was hoping he was going to get that start against Texas A&M, against the number 1 team in the country, and just, with us up 2-0, you have nothing to lose. Let him go out there and see what he can do. Give him 5 innings, 6 innings, and be like, dude, you got 75 to 90 pitches. Go,
Do you think the time, though, for let's see is past?
I don't. I think again, right? I mean, I know it's win now, but I do think stuff-wise, he gives us a great chance to win. And honestly, nothing against Nate, but I just think that Cade's stuff is better, and I think, I would like to. Again, this is just me, and that's just my opinion. I might have a little bit of a man crush on him. I don't know, but no, I've been kind of singing his praises all year, and I just kind of wanted to see him in those situations on the weekend.
Yeah, look, he's gonna be a weekend guy, probably next year. It's just I think it's interesting when you're looking at where LSU is. Every win matters so much. It feels like it's kind of like Jay has leaned on his veteran guys at this point. Anthony Ranaudo is with us. Does this remind you at all of the 2010 season? Like, can you give us some idea of what it's like when you do have this sort of degree of urgency late in a season?
So much. I've said it all year. Like, first of all, it's so hard to repeat after a national championship, right? So you've seen that struggle already this year. You go from number 1 preseason or, top 3, whatever, in all the polls to unranked, just like we did in 2010. You have some injury. We had some injuries that year and some guys not perform up to their potential. I think they've just had some rough patches this year and just some unfortunate luck, and weren't able to close out some games. So I think if they can put those little pieces together, and if they, how baseball is, man, like, you get hot at the right time and everything can come together for you. And you kind of saw that in 2010. We just got into the SEC tournament. It was a different style, obviously, than it is now, but we ran the table in the SEC tournament and did our thing and got out to that UCLA regional. Just ran into 2 Cy Young winners, and that kind of thing. But I think, if we had a better situation in the regional, there was no reason we couldn't get to the Super. And I think this team has that potential, and you kind of see that in their interviews and their kind of swagger and their bravado about them, and the way that they carry themselves. And so I'm excited to see how it plays out, and if they can stay hot. Obviously these last 2 weekends, there's definitely potential to put up some good numbers and some good win totals. So could bode well for them going into the SEC tournament.
One more for you. I do want to ask you about your grand reopening here in a second over at Cards and Culture. But with 6 games to go for LSU in league play, what do you think is, I don't want to say realistic, but how do you think they do? 2 on the road, 3 on the road against Bama, 3 at home against Ole Miss. Where do you think they end up?
I would love to see them go 5 out of 6, but again, man, like, you see that they're hot, and if they can just flush this last game and just understand that was 2 bad innings, and just kind of move forward from it and be like, yeah, if somebody told us we were going to win 2 out of 3 against Texas A&M and have a chance, be up half of the game in game 3, I think everybody would have been pumped. So if they can kind of flush that, who knows? They might be able to sweep both weekends. Alabama has shown that they're, not as they're strong. They're a top 25, top 30 team, but they're definitely beatable. And if we go out on the road and take care of business, but I think 2 out of 3 at Bama would be solid. And then if they come home and take care of business against Ole Miss, I would love to see 5 out of 6 going into the SEC tournament. Yeah. And like I said, that's some really, really good momentum going into that thing. And if they can put a good showing there, I like our chances getting into a regional and being, a decent seed and hopefully, getting into a Super.
Former Tiger ace, big leaguer Anthony Ranaudo, Up and In show. Guys got content everywhere, YouTube, post game. You can check that out as well. Hey, tell me about what you got coming up.
Yeah, man, I'm so excited. So I've had the collectible shop in Perkins Row for 3 years now, and it's taken a lot of shapes and forms. In business, you try different things and you figure it out. But we did some really cool rebranding, and it's catered a lot more to the hangout vibe, and still have a lot of cards and collectibles and that kind of stuff. But we put all our clothes against the wall, and we've opened up the space. We have 4 TVs for watching games and kind of hosting events and things like that. We have a cool little bar area for complimentary drinks. We're sponsored by 7-3 Distillery and
Sweet.
St. Rod Vodka and stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be really cool. We're going to have some athletes stopping by on Saturday this weekend, and basically having a DJ and a bartender, and we're going to have a little party outside, and giveaways, raffles, all that kind of stuff to kind of show everybody and show off the space and do some cool stuff with some athletes and people stopping by. So if you guys are in the Baton Rouge area, I'd love to have you and check it out. It's kid-friendly still, obviously, but there's some drinks for the adults and stuff, and then we'll have all kinds of games on all day, and then LSU plays at 4, so we'll all be watching that here for sure.
Awesome, man. Right there in Perkins Row, Cards and Culture. And I'm looking at the website here, though, Anthony, but the URL, it's cardsandculture.com. Yeah, cardsandculture.com is the URL if you want to check out cardsandculture.com. By the way, tell me again, what time on Saturday?
We're opening the doors at 10 a.m., but we're going to be doing stuff all day. I think the athletes will be stopping by. We're going to have some LSU athletes, some professional athletes stopping by, some former 09 guys, will be by. But starting at 10 a.m., we're going all day. And then we got the 4 o'clock LSU game, and we'll do some raffles specific to LSU baseball and things like that and giveaways. But there'll be giveaways all day and different events throughout the day. So If you guys follow us on social, everything's Cards and Culture. We'll be posting a lot of the news and graphics on there.
Cards and Culture. Good stuff, dude. Thanks so much for the time, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you.
All right, be well. That is former Tiger champ Anthony Ranaudo. We're brought to you by Evamor, EVAMOR. Love telling you about Evamor every single day. My wife and I, Erica, we've made that change. I had never had the product until they wanted us to do an endorsement deal. Tried it, went and saw their facility, was blown away, learned about alkalinity, about being in an alkaline state, about this natural artesian water. I was blown away that this is in Covington, right there on the North Shore. I mean, they say it's Mother Nature's masterpiece. I mean, it is natural artesian water. You can taste the difference, and it does not touch the air until you uncap it and drink it. It's why they've been able to get national endorsers like Dak Prescott. And I mean, they have national distribution. This is a local company here in Louisiana. So you go to the store, man, don't reach for the crinkly, weak plastic bottle. Grab a Louisiana product that's a better source of hydration, that's healthier for you and your family. You can order online at evamor.com, EVAMOR, evamor.com, or, of course, just go into any great local retailer and you'll see it there. Choose the local product. That is a superior product. Drink Evamor. Okay, it's after further review. Let me knock out our final break of the show. We'll come back, and Jimmy will be here for Otterlocks. It's AFR.
AFR.
So we got it confirmed. The newest member of the G team, Dominic McKinley, will be on AFR Tuesday, 1 week from today. So looking forward to that. Talking to the big defensive lineman out of Acadiana, but not only coming to be a Tiger defensive lineman, what he'll bring to the defense, but also about joining the G team. Of course, get Gordon and get it done. You can follow Gordon on any social platform at @GetGordon, @GetGordon. And as we say every day, if you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. You go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com to learn more about Gordon, his team. Also got links there to the G team. So if you want to see the members of the G team and some of the great stuff that the great NIL deals that Gordon and his team have done, like the deal with Dominic McKinley, who's going to be on AFR next week. We're looking forward to that so much. Look, no matter where you are in Louisiana, call 888-8888 or go to getgordon.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and incomprehensible, the Ottfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Not so great after last night, Matthew, but let's get back at it.
All right, let's get back on that horse.
All right, OKC tonight rested. They played 4. Certainly younger than Dallas, who played 6. I think it's a good spot here. And Luka's got that bum knee right now, which is aggravating him a little bit right now, swelling up on him. So we're going to take excuse me. I think they got their clunker out the way for that first game against the Pels, where the Pels should have won. So we're going to go with OKC at home, minus point late game.
All right, OKC minus 3.5. Anything else we're looking at?
Yeah, Corbin Burns, nice pickup for the Orioles, man. They're at it again. One of the top ROI teams in baseball. Laying 1.5 on the road against Washington.
All right, Baltimore minus 1.5 on the run line.
And the Cubbies, first 5, laying a little bit of a price here. And this is shades of Hideo Nomo before the league got a hold of him. Excuse me. That's how dominant this Cubs left-hander has been from Japan. So we'll go first 5, eliminate their bullpen, which has been one of the poorest in MLB.
All right, Cubs first 5. I'm trying to see. Let's see. Cubs first 5, minus 175. We good with that price?
Yeah.
All right, Cubs first 5 at minus 175. All right, Otter, we got, OKC minus 3.5. Baltimore on the run line. Cubbies first 5. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We're at Modesto, man. Shea's after a Cinco de Mayo over there. And it was a great time. You know, they're expanding and knocking down that wall next to them. So good signs for Ozzy's newest food contest, Modesto Mexican Grill over there on Burbank.
Great spot. Thanks, Otter. Good luck.
Okay, good luck, man.
All right, man. Be well. It's after further review. Tuesday, you know what that means? Supper Club's back open. I want to remind you, Supper Club, they opened up bar seating. Here in the last couple of months or so, in the last month or so, for the first time they opened bar seating. So if you're knocking off of work, you don't feel like heading home, you want to have a cocktail, meet your coworkers, maybe meet your significant other, get by Supper Club tonight. Bar seating is open. So if you don't have a reservation, you're good. And sometimes they do have tables around the bar that are open, so you can sit at the bar and have dinner. Have a great cocktail, glass of wine, an exquisite steak or whatever. If it's steak, if it's scallops, if it's fish, whatever it is you want to eat, it'll be the best you've ever had at Supper Club. I want to remind you, too, you don't need a sport coat. I was actually talking to a coworker today about maybe doing an event at Supper Club. I'll have to dress to the nines. No, you don't. Yes, you can absolutely throw on a sport coat. You can dress to the nines if you want. But the stated dress code is collared shirt, slacks or nice jeans. So if you're out working, you're in a golf shirt and slacks, you can walk into Supper Club, have a cocktail at the bar. But if you want the best night of your life, you can always do that at Supper Club as well. Reservations, supperclubbtr.com. Supperclubbtr.com. The night of your life over at Supper Club. You haven't experienced it yet? What are you waiting on, man? Supper Club. Supperclubbtr.com. All right, we're just about to get on out of here. If you missed anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf. Shea Dixon was here in hour number 1. Coach Pete Jenkins was here in hour 2. And big shout out to RC, who was here earlier this hour if you missed it. What a great conversation, man. Talking about Bryce Underwood, Harlan Berry. If you want to get even more excited about the prospects of those two prospects being LSU Tigers and what that's going to mean for this program, go catch what RC had to say at the beginning of hour 3 on YouTube or on demand, presented by Brett Golf. All right, it's going to do it for us. Muse, Paulie, appreciate you. Y'all have a great night. I got to get over to watch my son at Miracle League. Gonna have a good night with that, man. We'll see you tomorrow at 3. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by First South Farm Credit. If you are thinking about buying land, your first option should be First South Farm Credit. Every farmer's first option for agriculture, First South Farm Credit. Your first call should be First South Farm Credit. One of the awesome things about First South Farm Credit, they are a member-owned cooperative. They specialize in financing anything rural. And because they are a member-owned cooperative, they offer a patronage refund. It's a dividend paid to their member borrowers, and they've done this every year for 30 consecutive years. So basically, just because you borrowed money from First South Farm Credit, you will get a check every single year. Who else does that? It's First South Farm Credit. It's why your first call for land, if it's rural, if it's that dream property to build your family's dream home, it's firstsouthland.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable.